Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round two of our Le Mans Unlimited competition series sponsored by Simrigs. My name is Blake Griffiths, and tonight I am joined in the booth by the fresh and shiny Liam Braid. Liam, how are you?
I'm good. First time in the commentary booth, so dusting off the cobwebs on the microphone, so hopefully go okay. I haven't actually driven on Fuji Speedway since GT Gran Turismo 5 came out in about 2009, so don't expect track expert analysis from me.
All right, well, you've got more than me because I've never touched this track in my life. That is probably a little bit of a good lead off, little bit of a disclaimer here tonight, guys. I personally haven't touched this game. Liam, not too much himself. The servers are based in Europe, so the drivers are racing with somewhere like 500 ping, so they're a little bit floaty looking as well. So please bear with us, and there could be some technical issues, but we shall do our best to conquer them. And yeah, so our multi-class escapade begins tonight, and we are on board with Mark Bushell in the wingless Peugeot LMDH car. A bit of a spicy choice. It seems kind of insane to design a racing car with no wing. And I believe from last week's stream they were saying it's definitely the worst of the cars. It's an older version. Any thoughts on that, Liam?
Oh, so it's got no wing on purpose? It's not a graphical glitch? I don't know enough about the cars.
No. So I think I mean, as I said, I don't really know why, like, how much he's like. I mean, it must be.
Does it help with speed or downforce, or what's the idea there?
A bullet on the straight, I would hope, but I mean, it's got a lot of perpendicular wing action, if you get me, like fins, I guess, but.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how it helps, but Fuji does have a very, very long straight, so it should help there. Unfortunately, the final sector is like driving a cruise ship in a harbour. I don't think the hypercars are going to enjoy the last sector there.
Yeah, it does look like there's some sort of long, sort of mid-high speed corners through, especially the last part of the track. I was looking, as I said, not that familiar with this game myself, but the difference in record lap time here is not that great. It's about 7 seconds. I'm not sure what we're actually going to see. Well, Curry's time is already better than the actual real-life lap record, so that's something.
Well, that's something. Yeah, I did fire up Fuji on iRacing's version of Fuji this morning just to get an idea of what the track is like. And yeah, that last sector in the hypercars is... You can barely accelerate, unless it's just me, but turns 10 through 16 is pretty much just coasting around. So I think the straight is the only real place where these hypercars are going to have that much of an advantage on the GT3s.
Yeah, it's such a can of worms, multi-class racing. Very, very interesting in terms of endurance championship ruling. GT3 cars not required to get out of the way, even though they're the silver cars. So LMDH cars are going to have to find their way around, navigate the pack. Oh, all the way around for Lucas Keys. You don't...
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
360 no-scope. Put that in the montage. Don't see that often from Lucas Keys, but wait, there's an R Keys. Is that Lucas Keys? I
believe so.
Let me have a gander.
I believe so. In the entry list, there was Lucas. I don't know if R Keys is a different person.
Yeah, no, I believe that is Lucas Keys. I because Assetto Corsa, obviously. Oh my god, my dragon notes. Obviously you use your real name. I mean, you don't have to, but obviously in Octane it's kind of required. But I do believe this goes off something else, might be even your Steam name or something, so he might have something silly as his first name. Lucas Keys, the big joker he is.
Now this shows my lack of hypercar knowledge. What is that make of car that McFarlane's driving?
So this is something I do know. It's the Isotta... I can't say Fraschini.
Fraschini. I don't know. It sounds Italian.
Yeah. So they privately like a private team, not a manufacturer-based team that developed their own car. I'm not sure what they're doing now, because I not personally haven't been following WEC, but I know that they they finished Le Mans, the 24-hour, like the literal Le Mans, and that's nothing to like something to call home about. It's very impressive for like a private team that probably has like minimal funding. It's interesting that someone's decided to take that car here. I mean, I don't know. It's all for fun, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting to see which of the GT3 cars will be most powerful here, because Fuji's probably got one of the longest straights that GT3 cars would do. But yeah, that last sector is so windy that, good cornering is going to matter as well. So I'm not too sure which GT3 car's best here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. One of the things I love about what do you call it? It's like not spec racing, whatever the opposite version is. But what GT3 racing is like the differences in cars and how they are in different areas, like their strengths and weaknesses. I think it makes for really, really interesting racing. As we get this very futuristic HUD, Luke, land that shot in the vent shaft of the Death Star, please. How is this straight? I can't imagine it's as long as, say, Paul Ricard, right? What is it comparable to something that our viewers might know?
I don't think it's quite as long, but it's probably second to it. It does take a long time to get down there.
Yeah, but pretty good at mix of cars out here. Not as many LMDH cars as I maybe would have thought, but it should be pretty interesting nonetheless. I do like that in Le Mans Unlimited that we have access to like the Corvettes, and they updated Aston Martin and stuff. Like that's pretty funky fresh.
Yeah, it could be skill level, but when I was having a little go around this track in a hypercar on the iRacing version, I could only go full throttle for not much of the lap at all. So it'd be interesting to see how their hypercar drivers tackle this track. Because there's not a lot of places that you can go foot to the floor, other than the main straight. The middle part of the lap is sort of medium speed corners that you just sort of have to half throttle your way around. So the actual speed bonus of these hypercars might not actually get shown other than that main straight.
Yeah, I mean that was windy. I believe we were just going through the last sector and we're onto the main straight now. McFarlane taking a bit of a wide line to get all the speed that he possibly can down the pit straight. So currently Kuri is leading the field with a 128.8, and unfortunately, I hope you brought your mathematics hat because we're gonna have to do maths all night.
Good.
So Gibbons half a second behind, and McFarlane is 1/10 behind that. In your GT3,
so they're splits to the leader?
or actually,
yeah, they're splits to the leader. So
I would imagine so. So
there's 5 cars within a second of each other at the front there.
And then in your GT3 class, Lucas Keys, would you believe it, is leading the way with a 140. Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, lovely. With a 140.5 with Tiansen just 1/10 behind that, and then they're head and shoulders above the rest of the field with Johnston 5/10 back from Keys. Pretty healthy looking field, about almost 20 cars. I'm not sure if that's being cut off and there is actually 20, or if we only have 19, but still very, very healthy.
Yeah, pretty much 2 seconds between first and about 16th there, so pretty close.
As we're coming up to our last sort of set of laps, 30 seconds to go as Lucas is rounding onto the main straight. Might see if we can jump on board with him and get a bit of a feel for how this is.
He slowed down now, I think.
Yeah. Oh.
I know. It's just sort of how.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going slow, but
yeah, no, that was weird. On the brakes,
maybe
set about the curb.
Maybe that's just how long the straight is.
Yeah.
That first corner is very spa-like. You think you're turning tight enough, and then you got to turn a bit more.
I think like the field of view, like the camera stuff, made it look a little bit slow, but yeah. Whoa, a little bit.
And then this corner here, GT3s might be good at it, but the hypercars, yeah, you really. Every time you went to put your foot down, you couldn't. There you go, bit of a spin there.
Oh yeah, not quite putting it together. He's still, he was on pole, so you might not need that one, but that's going to be it. All she wrote for Lucas Keys as we jump on board with Callum Gibbons, I believe. Yes, it is Callum Gibbons.
End of the clock. I assume they get to finish their last lap.
I hope so. So, Lewis Cugley, what can he do in the new Aston Martin GT3 car? Currently not in the top 5, but coming down the pit straight, keeping it nice and tight, as you like, sweaty line. He's actually
going in the
he's had enough. He's had enough. All right, Jamie Convoy, what do you got? Interestingly, Convoy in the Aston Martin, I know he's racing that McLaren in the ACC Sprint Series. I'm actually not sure what JC's preferred car is, to tell you the truth.
I'm not so sure. He does do the Aston Martin a lot, I think.
But he is pulling the keys out of the ignition. It looks like just about everyone's had enough.
No, everyone's hitting the sheds, I think.
Pack it up. Boys, we're done. All right. So, a breath before we get onto the grid. I believe there is a bit of a row by row summary here that the game puts together for us, which is very nice.
Very nice.
Just give it a second. There we are. So
didn't show row 1, but it's showing row 2.
Yeah. Oh, we've missed that too. Okay, Mark Bushell in 5th, Xavier Eaton in 6th. Row 4 has Callum Lloyd and Paul Boxall. Row 5 are getting into the GT3 cars, so Lucas Keys did hold on to pole, and Christiansen in P2, Ash Johnson in P3 for GT3, and John Hislop P4. Row 7, Bailey Collins and Graham Hill. A couple of Mustangs, nice to see. Jacob Maggs taking 15th, and Pascal Armstrong in rounding out your row 8. Lewis Cugley in the Aston Martin and Chris Brooker in the 46 BMW, rounding out your row 9. Row 10, Sean Muller, glad to see him racing again. David Marsh alongside him. And Elwood Rambler, P21, and Jamie Conboy, P22. Jamie Conboy, I expect a bit better. Damiano Thircolini, P23. Jimmy Farrar in P24. Simon Van Graden and Miles Johnson make up your row 13. Row 14 is all alone is Hayden Marsh rounding out the field.
That's right. Hayden gets to watch the carnage of T1. Hopefully not too much, but yeah, these hypercars, when their tyres are cold, you've got to be super gentle on the throttle and on the steering. So having such a tight T1 will be interesting to see if everyone can survive it.
Okay, so Curry and Gibbons, McFarlane and Thistlethwaite, and Mark Bushell and Xavier Eaton.
Oh,
so
that's right. We're at the start of it.
Yeah, we just kind of missed it. Just wanted to get across that. So I believe there is a formation lap. Actually, I'm not sure. So
or is this straight so long that this is just where the rolling start starts?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure there's a formation lap. Again, please forgive us. Not entirely familiar with this system, but we shall see what happens.
Over the boxes now.
If so, would you like to take us away, Liam? If not, we'll waffle. That looks like a start.
Wait, that was the rolling start, so Gibbons looks like the better start. Curry's staying right beside him. Coming down into T1 here. Everyone's playing nice so far. Oh, there's a bit of a contact there. I didn't see who it was, but Curry gets through T1 first, with Gibbons following behind. Bit harder to read all the names on the cars above them. Lucas Keys leading the GT3s around that T1. with Tiansen right beside him. Not sure who the contact was there at the start in the hypercars.
I'd say it looks something like Gibbons is dropping down pretty significantly. Oh, he's off to the side,
Yeah,
but
we
it
had a
looked like it was
hypercar
sort
pull
of
over there.
between P2 to 3 and 4. But we shall see what comes of that.
Yeah, it's a little tricky to read the names above the cars, so I need to recognise who's got what livery, but I think all the liveries are just the cars.
Yes, so there's no custom liveries in this game, and
okay.
people can have overlapping numbers and cars, because it's like, so you see Hislop and Collins side by side, same livery,
Yeah.
number 77 Mustang.
They're teammates for now.
So yeah, bear with us a little bit with that in regards to that as well. Like, it's not something that's going to be super easy for us to maintain.
And text the people's names above the cars would be nice, but.
Getting word in the chat, Gibbo lost force feedback, so that's probably why he pulled over. Bit of a rough start. Whoa, Collins, bit wiggly waggly.
Curry's already taken off down the road, 2.5 seconds ahead of McFarlane. Tight Mustang battle here. Might be like this all race.
Yeah, always hard to make a maneuver on the same machinery, but we'll see what happens. Oh, I forgot that this
camera shutter. Camera shutter.
Oh my god, earthquake! But
we're in Japan, but no, it's just two Mustangs fighting it out, causing that.
Yeah. Well, the way these two are going, it's a battle for the ages. As they're racing pretty hard. As I mentioned earlier, there is a fair bit of latency because the servers are based in Europe, so it's pretty hard to get door to door. But these guys are doing the best that they can. That looked like Gibbons is coming
Gibbons
to the field.
Through.
So that's that was.
As I say, you got to be super gentle with the throttle on the hypercar. As that happens, you just get a bit squiggly and not too sure where you're going.
I think it was maybe a little bit aggressive from Gibbons trying to get through the field. As I mentioned earlier, GT3 cars don't have to cede their track position at all. It's up to the LMDH cars to get through safely. So I don't know if we'll see a WEC for that one from stewards. The series is live stewarded, but I believe that the only penalty they can give is a DT. So I'm not sure if there's going to be if it's because it's so on and off like analog. If we'll see penalties for stuff like that, but we shall see.
Yeah, do they have much power in this game, stewards, over the penalties? Or?
Well, yeah, because they can't. I don't believe that they can enforce, say, like 5, 10, 15-second penalties within the game. So
just adding time on at the end. Probably.
Well, it might be. That could be a way that they look at it. But like in terms of as the race happens, the race director will tell a penalised car to serve a drive-through when they drive through the pits. But as I said, we'll see what comes to that one. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. I'll leave that to the stewards.
To me, it looked like that. Yeah, Gibbons in the hypercar just lost a bit of control on the throttle around the corner.
Yeah,
slowed up, and that's where the contact happened.
Yeah,
Mustangs still deciding to be a team unintentionally, just driving with each other.
Yeah, well, these two. So one of these Mustangs got caught up with Gibbons, but they're back together relatively quickly, so nothing too bad. But yeah, he's trading positions a little bit, but Collins actually getting ahead of Hislop. So, but Hislop not quite done. Looking around the outside. But not much to happen there. It's going to be a battle of the braking as Collins kind of parks it on the apex there. Nothing wrong with that, but it's going to slow Hislop up quite a bit, and now he's in the grips of, I believe that's Hill in the 31 BMW. As we're getting a bit of a replay at the start, so we have someone looking down the inside, they lock up and they touch the rear of, I believe that is Gibbons. And not too much happening there, but you know, I'm sure that these cars are probably incredibly sensitive to aero damage.
You could see there after turn one, literally every single hypercar did a wiggle. That's the cold tire throttle danger of these cars.
Yeah.
You basically need to give it, when the tires are cold, you basically can only accelerate with like 10% throttle, otherwise you're just going to spin out.
Okay. Good insight.
Unless that was just me. might be just driver error. But yeah, once you get up to speed, you can be more normal with your throttle input. But yeah, that first corner, if you don't want to go doing doughies in the grass, you need to be super gentle.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very, very heavy braking zone corner. Like you said, it kind of reminds me of La Source in Spa, or actually it reminds me a bit of that first corner in Hungary, I believe, where it's quite sharp and it starts to fall downwards. So yeah.
It's more of a Spa hairpin, like a sharp V rather than the smooth carousel type hairpin. So you think you're turning tight enough, and then you got to turn a bit more.
As we have a bit of an American derby here with the Ford Mustang of Pascal Armstrong fending off Farah in that pretty lovely Corvette, but just getting a little bit
Corvette
close.
never made it to ACC. What's going on there?
Taking a bit of evasive action, but that's a bit rough, and he's doing a bit of donuts on the grass. I would say because the Corvette is relatively recent and they aren't really keeping up with ACC.
Mustang was the last present they had, I think.
I'd really like to see just like one more update, like give us the Corvette and maybe like a track or two, but I don't know if we're ever going to see that. But here and now, LMU, Cugley having a look on the inside of Pascal Armstrong, maybe getting a slightly better exit into T16.
Got a lot more speed there.
Yeah, so he's going to have a look down the inside. He's pulling ahead of the Mustang, which is a no mean feat whatsoever, and he's going to have the ideal line coming into T1. And it looks like that's job done.
Yeah, T1's too tight for the outside line to work, I think. It's not like a carousel hairpin in like Alton Park or something where you can sort of keep your speed as you're going around. So I think inside line's the way to go.
Yeah, nicely done. So Lewis Cugley currently in 19th, Pascal Armstrong 20th. I wonder when we will actually start to see the LMDH cars coming through. So McFarlane is in the pit for some reason, but the
Pascal Armstrong's 84 seconds behind, and the lap here is about 90 seconds. So Curie's getting close. Oh, here we go. As we speak.
So that's Chem Thistleweight P2. So that's and then
that's Thircolini. Thircolini's lapped by Thistlethwaite, I think.
That's Bushel.
Bushel.
No, yeah, that is correct. I was mighty confused for a second.
Oh, sorry, I can't read. It's Thistlethwaite and Bushel.
Yeah. So these guys are maneuvering their way through, and I do not envy them at all.
Yeah, that last sector's so tight.
That's really that's not the place you want to get caught up behind slower cars.
No, because if you're in the hypercar, you can't even just do a quick gusto of the throttle to get past the car, because you just don't have the track to do it. You got to either wait for the straight or hope that you can just dance around the GT3s. Because that last sector, you're not going to be faster than the GT3 just because of how tight and narrow it is.
Yeah, like there's literally like not the track width to even like make it happen anyway. So quite tight. Z jump on board with Hill in one of the 231 BMWs. He's quite close to Hislop. I'm not sure, looking a little bit squirrely there on the corner exit, but we know how this game is.
I think Thistlethwaite got held up a lot more than Curie did, because he was only about 3 seconds behind Curie, but now he's 6, so Curie got through that traffic better.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of a factor. I was just saying, like, if you catch up to the GT3 field in Sector 3, that's bad roll of the dice for sure.
Is there mandatory stops in this?
That is a really good question. I will check.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the rules of this series since I didn't sign up for it myself. Who are we on board with here? Still Hill behind Hislop. Pretty close, but not caning on Hislop at all. Hislop's slowly moving on down the road.
So as far as I can tell, there's not a mandatory stop. I'm not sure if any of these cars will have to stop. I would imagine being endurance cars, the LMDH cars, wouldn't have to, but no, I'm not an expert. This is not my field. So if someone in chat knows, please shout out.
This HUD, I don't know if anyone remembers the N64 GoldenEye game, but this HUD is reminding me of the health bars in that.
I didn't actually play a lot of GoldenEye myself.
It's just giving me a flashback of something from 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
First stream and you're already aging yourself, mate.
I know, what have I done? Hill's getting close to Hislop here. Lost pace on that straight, but catching up again.
So as we're coming up to a quarter of the race done, we are having a look at the NRG of the hypercars, the GT3 cars.
What is the NRG? Educate me.
I should have even brought it up. I'm wondering. So Tim Gobe, absolute legend. I was watching last week's stream and he was educating me a little bit. I know that there is literally like the hybrid energy, and then there is virtual energy. And from my understanding of what Tim told me on the stream, is that virtual energy is almost a form of balance of performance of BOP, where cars that are worse get more energy, I presume, to use up. And from my understanding...
So it's like live balancing.
Yeah, and from my understanding, if you use all of your energy, you will get a penalty, and I believe it's a drive-through. So, something to keep an eye out for. You can see McFarlane, I don't know if that's like a bot thing, because the ice auto is probably not that hot, don't come at me. Has a lot more energy than the rest of the cars. I'm not sure if that's because he's not using as much, or, as I said, because it's a balance thing. So we'll see what happens. Still 47 minutes to go.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe McFarlane's either not using it, or we can't really quite see where he's on the track at the moment, so maybe he's fallen behind that incident, I don't know.
Yeah. TrackMat, please. Motorsport Games, I believe, is the people that make this one. So there's McFarlane in the ice auto. Looking... So that's Eaton and Gibbons. So he's...
McFarlane's about 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, yes. Nothing too crazy, but I don't know if the pace is quite there in that car.
Yeah, not sure. Is the NRG a button that you have to press, or contact the GT3 in the hypercar?
No clue. Honestly, the funny thing about this game and this broadcast is that everyone that knows anything about this game is in this race.
Is in the race.
So there's no one to... We could just say anything and no one's going to correct us, really.
No, that's right.
So, yeah. But we do what we can and do what we must. God, they're all wiggling and waggling their way down the main straight. J-Max just saying, please don't hit me, I'm driving in a straight line.
There's only 2 classes. It's not like a 3-class race where you've got to try and catch up and be letting cars pass you at the same time.
I don't believe so. It's just LMDH and GT3. If you turn your gaze to the top left, we have a yellow flag that is now gone. Unfortunately, as we don't have the track map, we can't actually see what that was. But
we'll have to wait for the angels above to show us what that was for.
Yes, please and thank you, angels named Bignett. But Cam Thistleweight actually caught all the way back up to Corey now, and Bushell is right there too. So this podium battle, as they're coming up on this traffic into Sector 3, at least it's all of them this time.
There's all 3 of them there together now.
Yeah.
And they've got to try and get past some GT3s. Either Corey's had an incident, or it's just really tough getting through these cars.
Yes, Thistleweight gets very, very wide and gets left and right, and then he might have just touched with that Mustang. So Bushell getting the better of the situation, and now into P2. As I believe we're rounding the final corner, Panasonic corner.
Could we possibly get the timing differences back? As interesting as the NRG is.
Okay, thank you very much. So top three, quite a ways away from the rest of the fields, and then
It's going to be impossible for us to tell the difference of the GT3 cars since it's just going to say plus laps behind.
No, Big Net can give us, I believe, the GT3 timing because we saw that in qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a bit of a replay here. Is this Corey?
Name?
Behind the blue Cadillac though, so having a bit of an off. I assume that's Panasonic corner.
Yeah, that's the last corner. A few people have gone wide there.
No, we've got a few Toyotas, so that I dare say that that's Eden because he's now behind Gibbons in that Cadillac.
Yeah, a few people have gone wide on that corner. It's got a bit of an uphill to it as well, that last corner. So I don't know how that's affecting people. I think it's just the throttle on these hypercars. If you get it wrong, you're basically going wide or spinning. You can't really save it like a GT3 car.
So Thistlewaite is in the pits. Is this a penalty or is this
maybe there's a mandatory stop? We don't know.
Maybe there is a stop.
Well, they haven't stopped. They're just driving through. I think.
Well, we might be able to get a feeling for it. Okay, we've got a stops thing. McFarlane has stopped. Again, I don't. What if it was a penalty? He would have just driven through, and it wouldn't count as a stop, right? So there must be a mandatory stop.
Easy to lock up in the hypercars, so maybe people are chewing through their tires already. Maybe.
Yeah, very true. I believe we saw Thistlewaite actually locking up in lap 1 T1. He was part of that kerfuffle. So yeah, always a bit rough racing with a bit of a flat spot on your tires potentially. I'm not sure how this game handles that, but
and we no longer have a top 3. It's just a top 2 now. So Farland must have. Oh, Thistlethwaite, that's right. That was the one that was up there with the other 2.
Yeah, but on board with Marsh and Convoy. These guys are rigging up the rear of the field, not actually even on the timing board right now, but
maybe they stopped as well.
There you go. So Marsh in at 27th. There's 2 Marshes, so I'm just trying to be careful here. No, that's not even the right Marsh because that one.
18 and 19 apparently.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, there we go. These guys coming closer together, but Hayden Marsh just putting a little bit of a gap there to Convoy, sort of ebbing and flowing a bit, looking a little bit squirrely through the hairpin.
I wonder what this game serves up in terms of starting track condition. Is it to start optimum or green or don't know?
It's funny you say that because it's one of those things like optimum and green and stuff. Like, is that a specific ACC terminology that we're just bringing over? Like,
well, no, like it's sort of, you have green tracks and they get better and better. But in terms of what you start to track at when you start a race, I don't know.
Interesting. I didn't realize that green was like a term. I thought that was just an ACC thing.
Yeah, it just means a track with no rubber on it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Mate, learn something new every day. CM in chat saying the flat spot vibrates your whole rig in LMU, so I'm not surprised that anyone that's locked up might have come in a bit early, potentially.
Oh, so every time that wheel goes around, you feel it. That would be terrible.
Yeah. A lot of rotations per minute to give you a headache as you go.
Yeah, you got a lot of uphill corners in this last sector to deal with. Not sure how that affects the balance of these cars. Hypercar's not very good at turning at the best of times, so going uphill probably doesn't help either.
Yeah, different changes in sort of the suspension geometry and the weight transfer as you go. As they're Corey coming past the other Marsh in the Mustang. So Corey currently leading the way for everyone in the Toyota Gazoo WEC car. So you got, I believe, a little bit of a battle pack here with
3 or 4 cars here together.
Van Graden or Garden, sorry, Graden. alongside Johnston in the United Autosports 95 McLaren, and ahead of them is Brooker, I believe. So let's see if these guys can pull it a little bit closer together. So
These guys, yeah, they're not on the timing too either. So I think people must have either stopped or... Oh no, we just have a lot of GT3s. That's what's going on. Okay, there's 20 of them. That makes sense.
Yeah. So we've got Johnston, Van Graden, I believe Muller is in that. Muller is in that BMW behind. Kemp Thistleway trying to make his way through, and Ferrari in that Corvette that's a little bit up the road.
Everyone's sticking to the left. Good job.
Hey, they don't even have to get out of the way.
No, they're not getting it. It's just such a long straight, which just looks like a highway.
So we just saw Muller, I believe, pulling to the pits there. So
maybe there is a mandatory stop.
Or they might just like have to stop in terms of like fuel / Oh no!
Oh, what happened there? Was that a collision or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Into the wall. Got a broken nose there.
Yeah. I'm not sure actually how the damage sort of works.
Convoys pulled the plug.
Yeah, I believe from my understanding, when you return to the pits, you get an auto DNF. So.
Oh, you can't fix it and rejoin.
No, I don't know if you actually like have to drive around, but so getting that replay with Jamie Conboy and Marsh. So Jamie Conboy looking down the inside. Oh,
they almost got through, and then there was just that little clip right at the end.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, was that netcode? Like, was there actually collision? Like, what did that look like for both of them, kind of thing?
Yeah, we'd have to see it from behind. I think to see if there's anyone really at fault there.
Yeah, like I don't know if you watched last week, but there was an incident with I can't even remember who, but like a hypercar passed by a GT3 car, didn't actually touch them, but like a collision happened. So it's like
they're just
very
so floaty. I don't know if that's just us spectating or if that's what it looks like when you're driving as well. But
yeah, so it's tough to really say anything. That's a car back there going very, very slow. I want to say that was Marsh in the Ferrari, but I'm not 100% sure. But Bushel actually closed up
caught up to Curry and rubber banding this first and second.
Literally and figuratively at the moment, but bit of a slide there for Bushel on the power just a little bit too early. But Corey gonna have the inside line for Coca-Cola. But Bushel's trying to make a bit of an inside move happen around.
They're taking turns with the mistakes, these two.
Yeah. It's really hard. Like we just saw that sort of like netcode incident. Like you want to race kind of hard, but you don't want to get too close because you don't really know like what is actually going to happen. So here is, I think, that incident we saw just before. I was saying Marsh was moving very, very slowly. Camp this way, don't do it to him. Okay.
Was that an understeer or a steering issue there? Sort of ran wide.
Yeah. As far as you can see, it's understeered out very wide. I don't think that's on Camp this way at all. But we will see.
Murray, the orange bar next to the name means they're a GT3 car. And the red one means they're a hypercar.
Yes. Sorry, I probably could have told you that before. Oh, sorry, Murray. Apologies.
Yeah, Murray in the chat's just asked what the orange bar was.
So Bushel having a look, he's going to be around the outside for T1. As we saw earlier, it's not really the place to get it done.
But he's going a little bit faster, so...
Probably braking just a little bit later. It looks slightly deep to me.
Going wide as well.
Yeah, so Bushel had the exit speed there, but kind of had to bring it in just to avoid a bit of a collision. Bushel's going to be on the outside for Coca-Cola, and it's going to put him about a car's left. Yeah. As we got another replay here, this is one of the Toyotas. I'm not sure who, sorry, but we are seeing full on four-wheel lock. Voided going bowling there, but oi, that was spicy.
If you lock up and you're still going in the right direction, that's a win. It's very easy to start doing 360s in these once you lock up.
He's going to have a big headache, I would say, from the rumbling that rig is going to be doing.
Yeah.
We've got
Lucas 10 seconds ahead of Collins in the GT3 race, so Lucas is nice and comfortable up front.
Got another yellow flag happening on track, not sure exactly where, but that is a substantial gap when you consider that the rest of the field is still within like 1 or 2 seconds of each other, particularly the next 4 cars. Lucas Keys, you LMU Merchant, you. Yellow flag clearing up now. Bushell's just fallen off the back of Corey a little bit, but it seems like he has the pace because he keeps coming back. He keeps coming back at Corey, but Lucas Keys, we jumped on board with him. If he's been doing that the whole time, I'm not exactly sure how he's 10 seconds ahead, but I'm sure it's been a lot cleaner when we haven't been watching him.
There must be either very little grip out there, or they're all struggling with tyres half an hour in.
Yeah, good point. He'd probably might want to be considering pitting, but just looking actually, Muller DNF and one of the Marshes DNF as well. I believe this is on board with Keys, so just looking at that steering wheel, oh my god, that looks like the Red Bull this season, just a million corrections just through a corner. Hard to work with.
A lot of off-camber corners in this track too, so maybe that's what's tearing up the tyres a bit, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I would imagine if Lucas Keys is struggling like that, I'm sure everyone is probably thinking about coming in pretty soon for tyres. Bushell just squirming and getting really, really wide through that corner, trying to navigate this traffic, but just having a pretty tough time of it right now. Mags, I think, just kind of letting him through a little bit here.
Yeah, rather fight another day, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things, we've alluded to it a few times, but it's like trying to give, especially people who are not even racing, like giving them maybe a bit of extra space that you wouldn't necessarily were the servers located in Australia. Please, Motorsport Games, give us Australian servers, please and thank you. So Corey now back into this GT3 field. We'll see what this does to these two.
Got about 4 or 5 of them to get through.
Yeah. And there's Bushell.
Bushell's not far behind, though. They sort of keep coming together, and then depending on the traffic, they get split up again, and then they come together again. So, it's tricky. Bushell might have the pace to take it to Corey, but just keeps getting stuck behind cars.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I wonder if you just kind of you go from I'm trying to catch this guy, like I want to put a move on him, to just like, okay, change your mindset, like we're navigating this traffic first and then we'll think about a bit of a move.
I'm not sure what time this race is taking place in, but it's getting quite dark actually.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got 30 more minutes to go, so in-game start time was 4 o'clock for practice, so quali started at 4:40 in-game and the race started at 5 o'clock.
Must be winter in Japan, I don't know.
Bushell navigating this traffic relatively well so far. Touch wood. But we're on the main straight, so if something happens here, that's a bit on them.
Yeah, you can see the acceleration those hypercars have against the GT3s. They just take off. Even though the top speed, GT3s can get only like 20, 30k an hour. It's slower, but it's just the acceleration. That's the main thing.
Speaking of Hill, having a look down the inside of T1 and just puts it straight in front, but Hislop cutting a lot of the grass there.
Not sure what the track limits were there, but making the most of it.
I guess that was probably legal, but he's not really gained any advantage from that because he's now pretty significantly behind. But nice move from Hill. I think he caught Hislop napping there, to be honest. Sam, I think I saw when we were doing the grid walkthrough per se for Lucas, he has his middle initial there, Lucas Arkeys, and for some reason it's just showing Arkeys.
I think so. His surname is Arkeys, right? Okay.
Yeah. So, but you know, you could imagine what you like Lucas's new name is. I personally think he could be Richard. But Hislop actually back in front of Hill, so something's happened really quickly between these two. Hislop not happy that Hill got in front. There's a bit of a gap there already as Gibbons coming up on the back of them very, very quickly.
Yeah, not sure if it's the rendering of the spectate mode, but you can see these cars just tiptoeing their way around this last sector. It is so precarious that.
Yeah, for sure. Like when we were riding on board with Lucas, it looked kind of awful. I wonder if maybe the tire, like this pit stop, isn't actually mandatory and people are just doing it just for their own sake.
Because it looks like they've been tiptoeing their way around those off-cambered corners, which is painful, even when you got good tires.
Yeah, so I think this is Hislop and Hill,
Yeah,
and so Hill having his own moment and Hislop just benefiting from that. So gonna have to do it all again, unfortunately. Sam, yeah, sure.
We've got a bit of damage there, making some sparks. Is that what that is, or is that just the model?
I think I've noticed this Mustang seems to be dragging the front a little, even like in qualifying we saw it a little bit, so I don't think it's anything too serious.
Or is it just how the model is affecting the track?
I just think it's part of the model, hitting, like interacting with the track.
It is very low to the ground.
yeah.
So yeah, everyone's sliding their way around these corners.
Well, when in Japan, do like the Japanese do. So Ash Johnson here having a look at, I believe, is that Collins?
Yeah, who's going to get the best run into this long straight?
Bailey Collins, sorry. But yeah, God, it looks like driving on ice at the moment.
I wonder what the track temperature is as well. We haven't really seen anything that says that. Really. Yeah, I don't know if temperature's a feature in LMU or much of a functionality thing.
Yeah, maybe I need to.
ACC, I don't know.
Maybe we need to pick this up just to learn some of those smaller quirks. Yeah. If anyone wants to buy it for us, go ahead.
We're just watching. We're just in the bunker. We're watching whatever we see.
Yeah. So currently, though, I believe this is P2 and P3 for the GT3 class. They have Lloyd coming up behind them. Well, you see those like almost horizontal headlights in your rear view, and I probably get a little bit nervous.
They are strange headlights, yes.
Oh,
just knows that.
Yeah, that's pretty tight. Johnston, I think, giving him a flash there, maybe. Sorry, Johnston. Apologies. But McFarlane also making their way through as we cut back to Thistlethwaite and Bushell. Where is Thistlethwaite in regards to these two? Because he pitted, and I don't know if that's actually positioned. Bushell and Corey definitely still fighting.
Thistlethwaite's a lap down. Looks like P8. Yeah, Thistlethwaite's a lap down.
Yeah. Okay, so he's doing his best, but I wonder. It's a little bit hard to tell with the ping situation, the actual body language of the cars. But if Thistlethwaite potentially new tires with a big slide,
he's really squiggly.
If he potentially had new tires, had a lot more pace than these guys, but I'm not sure considering that slide. I feel like there should be like an artificial intelligence like voiceover, like target locked with this display. It's so futuristic.
I wonder if it's the nature of the track as well. There's only, in my mind, there's only 3 braking zones in the whole track. So maybe there's an issue where they just aren't using their brakes enough, so they're constantly sort of got cold brakes. I don't know. So maybe that's why they're all having a bit of trouble as well.
Yeah, I also wonder, because I presume, from my understanding of hybrid technology, you gain energy on the brakes, right? I don't know if that's how these cars work. But
I believe so. Yeah, you gain energy when you brake. I believe the hybrid racing cars.
So I wonder as well if maybe they're not getting quite as much energy as potentially other tracks.
Maybe, yeah, because there's really only 3 braking zones in this that you actually do a hard brake. There are some corners where you might just give it a dab, but for a 90-second lap, only braking 3 times, probably get most out of the brakes.
So what's that? T1, it'd be T10, Dunlop corner.
And you give him a bit of a dab at T6. The rest you sort of just coast your way around.
Yeah, so interesting. Interesting. We're seeing that NRG actually again. Some of these guys are pretty low. Lloyd, especially 26%. We still got about a third of the race to go. So, gonna have to manage that a little bit. I think. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know the rules or how that works.
I see Johnston, actually, the 95 McLaren, is in pit now too. So I feel like we would have seen a few more people pitting. Boxall is in the pits too, in the number 7 Toyota LMDH car.
Yeah, must just be pitting by choice, I think.
I think so too. Because, well, like none of the front runners have pitted in terms of LMDH, right? Like
yeah, I imagine people would be looking at their lap times plummeting and making a decision on whether to stay out or... We can't see the lap times people are doing, but I assume if there's no mandatory pit stop, people must be noticing their lap times just struggling. Still 3 seconds for first and second though.
I'm getting to the heart of this issue. I'm speaking to the people themselves. If there's a mandatory pit stop, so we'll find out for sure. Because I'm really curious. Because like people could just be running along.
Could be. Yeah, 3 seconds between first and second, but then we got 24 seconds back to third with Gibbons, who I think we saw stop. The others stopped as well. Looks like most of the hypercars have stopped except the front two. I'm not sure about the GT3s. The GT3s might be surviving the tyre deck better.
Yeah. Well, Keys definitely hasn't stopped. We've seen, I want to say, like a third of the field of the GT3s come in. Yeah, tricky stuff out here. So Corey extended that gap a bit, actually, back down to Bushel. It's nearly 4 seconds. Cam Thistlethwaite doing a little bit of a dance in that AF Corsa Ferrari.
Bit of tyre warming on the 40 minutes of the race.
I mean, what's he doing? He's been out there for a while now. Just having fun, I think.
Who are we with here? Collins, who's in P2 for the GT3s.
And
the battle for the second, third here.
We have more than one Johnston, because there's a Johnston in a Macca that we saw come out of the pits a minute ago. So this, yes, is for position. These two a little bit back from Lucas Keys, but a bit of a gap from them to Hislop.
There's only 1 second between these two, though.
Yeah. Hislop with a 4 second gap to Hill now. So we saw them battling maybe 10 minutes ago. Hislop just getting the better of Hill. But yeah, a little bit of that the front splitter drag we were sort of mentioning earlier.
Yeah, these GT3s definitely look far more comfortable at the end of the lap. They might be slower, but they're not weaving all around those corners, so the tyre deck not affecting them as much, I don't think.
Yeah, I think obviously GT3 cars with traction control and ABS, a little bit of an easier package to handle.
Yeah.
From my understanding, LMDH no ABS, that's why I've been seeing some lockups. I'm not sure if they have traction control. If I had to guess, I'd say they wouldn't. But I think we're on the bonnet of Johnston chasing down Collins right now.
Yep, 2 77s in the top 4, 2 car 27s in the top 5.
And falling behind it looks like a Corvette as well, but I'm not sure who that is. potentially lap traffic.
Yeah, Ash Johnson here trying to lock on a missile to whoever's in front.
He's going to need some help if he wants to catch Collins right now.
Him to be making any ground.
Yeah, this track pretty interesting. It's very, very crusty with camber in a lot of these corners. I think it's
you basically spend the first half of the lap going downhill and then the second half coming back up again, I think.
Yeah. So McFarlane right on the back of Lloyd. I think this actually may be for position. So McFarlane doing work in that ISOTA. From memory, I believe Lloyd was actually the one that was down on the energy, so McFarlane might just have a bit more in his bag to get this done. If that's how it works.
Not sure. Can't help you there.
I feel like someone's gonna come in later and just be like, "What were you guys talking about? Like, what? Do you know anything?" And I'm gonna be like, "No. Sorry."
But pretty close slipstream here. Might have a decent run.
Yeah, just picking it up off that GT3 car. Pulls out to the side.
Lloyd got the better run out of the corner, I think. What are we going back to here? An Aston Martin.
I believe that might be Johnston, considering that Corvette in the middle of them. So Johnston having his own moment and brushing up against that tyre wall. Hopefully not too much damage there. We still actually got a yellow flag too.
Yeah, someone's had a bigger moment, looks like, if that's still there.
It's just cleared, and I'm not sure if this is actually for position. Please, oh please, race gods, may I have the timing board back?
I don't think so. I think... Yeah, what this game needs is a clearer name bar above all the cars, because granted I'm watching sort of half resolution through the stream, but it's a bit hard to read the numbers on those.
Alright, I have the word of God telling me that there is no mandatory stop, however nobody can do the full distance on one tank of fuel anyway. So
I see.
There's a sort of a soft mandatory stop, if you will. Bit of a replay here. One of our BMWs probably having their own moment, I would guess, considering there's not much happening around them. Yep, just getting a bit too much power too early. Getting all the way around.
A lot of loose rears.
Yeah, so that's interesting though. We've got, like, we haven't seen Corey or Bushell pit. We haven't seen Keys pit for sure.
I'm not sure if Gibbons has. He's only 26 behind, so if Gibbons has and Curry hasn't, then...
I don't think Gibbons has either. Gibbons had the force feedback issue at the start of the race, so yeah, I think I think he hasn't pitted either. So I'm not sure though if that's going to be class dependent, and I also wonder if people are going to try.
There we go. We can see the stops. So Lloyd hasn't, nor Gibbons.
Yeah. Oh, so McFarlane's battling on track for position here with Lloyd, but he's already done the stop, so he's fine. Like,
so really the question. Yeah, really the question is, can McFarlane catch Curry when they do their stop? Assuming they all do a stop.
So I mean, he'll want to get past him pretty bad. This way also done his stop. So yeah, that's interesting. So the point I was going to touch on, I'm not sure if that's class dependent, like if the GT3 versus the LMDH, if they do or don't have to stop for fuel, if it's only for one of them or if they all do. But
I see Thurkley needs done 5 stops. Is that right?
What? I did not see that.
I think I saw a 5 in that list somewhere. There we go.
5 stops? What's he doing? Pit stop practice?
I don't know.
Ay. Is he going for the track record for most pit stops in one 60-minute race?
What's this that we're seeing? Tyre.
I've seen...
Tyre?
What's...
Are they different tyre types, or is that degradation we're seeing? What the colours mean?
I believe that WEC only has one tire type, like it's wet or dry.
Yeah.
So I think that might be deg. But
Must be Deg. And so
so
McFarlane pitted but didn't change tyres. This was like pitted but did change tyres. That's what I'm going to read into that.
yeah, but Eden also seems to have mixed tires. I wonder. Oh, well, that's sad. That's a very, very sad looking car.
Oh dear.
I wonder if Eden. So does Eden have a mixed set of tires on the car? Because that is pretty cool. I presume that's what two different colored dots means.
Maybe.
The GT3 cars have no tires on, allegedly.
Yeah. Thankfully, he's jealous of the hypercars and taking his win off.
He's like, that Peugeot looks pretty good. I'm going to take my wing off. As we're going to see, I guess, what happened to Damiano. He had a bit of an average race last night, I believe. Oh!
Yeah. Didn't want the wing. Saw the Peugeot.
Ay. That's rough. That was a big hit, actually. So
Lloyd and McFarlane still close together.
Crispy, I just made that joke, mate. Don't steal my jokes. But yeah, McFarlane still not quite past Lloyd, but we're getting another replay. Oh, yeah. I mean, that Porsche is going to be pretty hard to drive without that wing on the back. Obviously, engine slung over the rear axle, and then no downforce as well. That's asking a lot.
He's in for pit number 6.
What? But what's like the other 4 of them?
I don't know.
Is he going into the pits and changing one tire at a time?
Must just be having a tough time.
Yeah.
McFarlane still can't get Lloyd, which is eating into a lot of his advantage at potentially catching up to Curry and Bushell if they pit.
Yeah. But we're getting down into the latter stages of this race, into the final act, if you will, and we still haven't seen the leaders pit. So that's something I did want to touch on, is potentially, are they fuel saving a bit?
Oh, we had a car stopped on the road there. One of the BMWs, I think.
I think that was a Mustang, actually. But looking like they rejoined it safely, so nicely done. Yeah, Murray, but the stream is delayed. Don't forget that.
No, I did read it. I did read it from Crispy's.
No, don't do this to me. You're never getting back in the booth now. But yeah, Crispy making a very good point, though. It would be very, very easy for Damiano to just quit. So hats off to him for keeping on trucking.
Still going.
So we're going to see what happened to that Mustang.
Mustang, yeah.
It's literally just the same corner. Like, I think the change in altitude of the track is just throwing people off as the weight shifts of the car.
Was that the second last corner again, was it?
It looks like to me, yeah, T15 next corner.
Yeah, everyone keeps just losing the rear going over the hill, I think.
Yeah, so it must be quite tricky to deal with for these guys. As Thistlewaite's actually caught up to McFarlane now, so McFarlane...
Bushell's in the pit, so we'll see where McFarlane comes out.
Yeah, sorry, ignore what I just said. That was Thistlewaite behind Curry. That was not for position. These two are still interlocked together.
It's going to be interesting to see where McFarlane comes out, depending on Bushell, sorry.
Yeah, so we just saw Lloyd jumping to the pits as well. And
McFarlane's coming to the head of Bushell, and I think Bushell was only 6 seconds behind Curry. So McFarlane's in for a shout here of getting past Curry, I think.
Yeah, wow. So that's worked out quite well for McFarlane.
Yeah, I think Bushell was only 6 seconds or so behind Curry, so... and it looks like McFarlane's come out at least 5 seconds out of Bushell, so it will be close.
So as we cross the 10 minutes to go threshold, we still haven't seen Kuri come in, actually. Passing by Damiano, who's thrown a wing back onto that Porsche, which I think might have been wise considering what we were seeing a little bit before. Taking a quick look at the energy, Eden and Givens could be in a bit of trouble here. I think they may have the energy save a bit for the end of this race, so keep an eye out for that.
Do they gain any, or is it only ever losing some?
Well, if I was to imagine that is the vague version of bot, then I would imagine that they're not getting that back because it's different to hybrid energy.
Okay.
But we shall see. I mean, I don't think we've not really seen that been going up so much, so it might just be about management more so.
So Bushell's ended up 12 seconds behind McFarlane, but was only 6 seconds behind Curry when he went in, so McFarlane could be in for the lead here.
This way would be wanting to get past Corey pretty bad because he wants to make up whatever time he can if and when Corey does come into the pits.
Will it be this lap?
I mean, he's coming out pretty wide. I would imagine he'd be keeping it a little bit tighter. No, the pit's not that close, but he's not.
Has he somehow got fuel saved? I don't know.
Yeah, but like, Bushell has been on him for like a lot of the race. Like, I would struggle to see that unless
I don't see it happening, so...
Okay, Murray Snow with the good info that you can add NRG in the pits if you need to.
I see.
That is good info. Big cut there from Camp Thistleway. WRC style cut there.
Lucas Key's still comfortable in the GT3 lead. His lop's made up a few positions, has he?
Yeah, because he was the one that was battling. So there's Gibbons into the pits.
He was battling with Hill, so he's made up a...
Yeah, with Johnston, and Johnston did his own spin. So he's doing quite well. He's actually on the same lap as the leader, and that's it for GT3. So hats off to them. The rest of the field pretty much on one lap behind them, and Damiano is doing a bit of an exhibition run for pride.
Murray, how long does it take to fill up your energy? Is it like charging a phone, or how long does it take?
There's a pit guy that comes out and plugs in a USB-C cable into the car. And everyone stands around for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Because they never charge as fast as just a normal phone charger.
Okay, Curry's coming in. Curry's coming in.
Where is McFarlane? That is the question.
So important to note that there is collision still in the pit lane. That is something. So he did need to be careful there.
Okay, so you can't just drive through the car in front of you into your box.
No. So if the person in front of you is doing a pretty average pit stop, like coming in kind of slow, like you're screwed.
I just noticed Lloyd got DQ'd. I don't know why.
Energy. I'm telling you, he ran out of energy.
It's the energy?
Is the energy.
All right.
I think. I don't know.
Here's McFarlane. McFarlane looking to come out in front of Curry. I think he will. Because Curry only just stopped, so... actually, he's coming out now. Okay, it's going to be close.
Whoa, that is going to be close. Murray Snow saying that it does take quite a long time to fill up virtual energy. I don't know if you need to do the whole car, but
Curry's coming out in front just, but he's only got 7% energy left.
Yeah, so that's interesting. If what I've been saying about virtual energy is even vaguely true, this could make it very, very interesting into the race.
If it's a button you can turn on, just don't press it. If it's not, then he may be in trouble. I don't know.
I don't know, is 7% enough for the final couple of minutes? 5 minutes of this race, Murray?
It depends if you can turn it on and off or not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm posing it to Murray because Murray seems to know. He's also like, it's Murray and Crispy in the chat.
We are checking our Martin Brundle is Murray Snow in the chat. Thank you.
I love that we are checking meme. I find it so funny. But yeah, so Curry, this could be a masterclass of strategy or a disaster class. We'll have to see as the clock counts down.
He came out about 2 seconds, and it's still about a second and a half. Oh, he's got held up there behind Johnston. So there might be a chance for McFarlane. Don't think McFarlane got the exit he needed, though.
Got another yellow flag currently. But yeah, so Curry obviously just coming in and just putting a bit of a slash of fuel just to get to the end. I guess as well, like if you're not changing your tyres, it's better to keep them warm because they could be getting cold.
Yeah, especially if he only had to deal with it for another 6 minutes, so... I think this is pretty much going to be the race for the rest of the last 4 minutes. It's the closest gap on track, I think.
It's interesting, you get to see that gap, the delta, like in real time, which is something that's pretty cool. You don't see that in ACC. I will say, I feel like that would make me such a dirty delta watcher though, because
you
like
just be staring at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Or wherever it is on the HUD.
Yeah, and it's like, because when you come into the braking zone, obviously the car behind you that's still coming towards it is like gaining on you, and then it goes back up when you get out of the corner and they're braking and stuff. So
yeah, it's a bit... live updates in iRacing as well, and you can get sucked into the oh look, I caught up. Oh no, it's just that I was on a straight and they were.
So Himaris, which I believe is Lloyd, saying they got DQ'd. Was that because you ran out of energy? Please let me know.
Or is there a track limit?
Oh my god,
McFarlane's dropped about 6 seconds back now. Had a bit of an issue on that last corner.
Yeah, just picked the wrong line to get around that GC3 car. GC3 car not having to give way and giving them a bit of a flash. So giving
I don't want to risk jinxing Curry, but that could be it. Okay. Home safely.
So Curry's energy did not come down in those probably lap and a half we saw, so it must be something
you just turn it off.
Yeah. We are learning so much. Pascal Armstrong here in the 44 Mustang just
got DQ'd for reversing in the pits. That's rough. So if you miss it, you either gotta just give up, go have a shower, or drive out of the pit, drive all the way around again, and then do it again.
I thought that, I mean, in real racing, I thought you were allowed to reverse only in the pits if you need to. Obviously, I don't believe there's any. I don't believe there's any reverse.
Maybe there's a limit. Maybe he missed it by like 40 meters rather than 2 meters or something, and tried to reverse all the way back.
Yeah, he's not giving us the whole story.
Don't know.
That also doesn't confirm my theory about running out of energy and getting a DQ.
Whoa. Who was that run wide?
So Pascal Armstrong around Van Graden. Van Graden.
Oh, okay, it was lap down.
Yeah, lap down. So.
Trying to let him through.
Yeah, so jumping back on board with Lucas Keys in the 92 Porsche, if you will. He's not. Sorry, I misread the time board. But really, really great race for Lucas Keys. Just got out ahead and never looked back, really.
Yeah, it hasn't had any pressure from any of the GT3s, just safely letting all the hypercars go through.
So I believe we're going to see Lloyd getting that DQ for...
He's looking out. He's like, which one's mine? Oh shit, it was the one back there.
Okay, that is about 40.
Yeah, no.
Oh, is he going to hit that car?
Oh dear.
Oh my.
Yeah, and then his crew was just like, wheel into the garage, mate.
Yeah, I think we call that one
that's rough.
A learning experience.
Yeah, I think if you did that in ACC, you'd get DQ'd as well.
I wonder, like, as you said before, I'll say it again. I haven't played this game, you haven't played this game, so I wonder if the pit boxes are even highlighted at all, or if you have to, like, really...
No idea.
But Corey coming over the line for the win. Very, very well done, mate. In control of the race the entire time. I believe I would assume that Lucas Keys is finishing the race now too.
Yeah, just crossed the line after the zeros. That should be it for Lucas.
And Bushel taking out P3 in your L&D H class. And I think we're still going to see Tiansen probably still needs to cross the line. But
yeah, we've got first, second, and third for the hypercars come across.
That was Gibbons there, so that's P4. But yeah,
we're watching Lucas already open the champagne in the garage here.
He's got the goggles on. But yeah, so interesting race. I am not really actually familiar with what the end of the race looks like.
Yeah, what sort of graphics do we get?
Yeah.
Is this it? We just look at the wall and then...
I think we're waiting for Thistleweight to cross the line, but he's also going slow and he'll just being teleported to the pits. Yeah, this is a bit interesting. Why is... Man, please, we need to change over to split red.
Alright. I'm going to go trundle around the back of split red, doing my very slow lap time, so I'll jump out.
Alright, so very, very quick summary of the race. Haney Corey taking out P1, McFarlane with some excellent strategy for P2, Mark Bushel P3, Callum Gibbons P4, and Thistleweight rounding out your top 5 for LMDH. If we can see the GT3, Lucas Keys, believe it or not, P1, Chris Tiansen, Bailey Collins from Ash Johnson from John Hislop. Great race for John Hislop, I think, making up quite a few positions there. And I'm not going to go through the entire field, but thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We are going to be handing over to Lexi Bone and Sam O'Brien, who will be taking you through Split Red. And Liam Brady and I will be racing in Split Red, so that's exciting. Cheer us on.
No, I've got to go get the car out of the garage. Meanwhile, everyone else is doing hot laps already.
Yeah. So big thanks to everyone for watching tonight. Thank you, Ben Hignett, on the cameras, and thanks to the stewarding team. There'll be a little bit of a break, probably about 10 minutes maybe, until Split Red. So grab yourself a drink, stick around. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Good evening, and we are back on this time with the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series for the third and final split of the Asia Pacific week here with Split Red at Misano, the Marco Simoncelli Misano World Circuit, of course, named after the late Marco Simoncelli, former MotoGP rider who unfortunately passed on after a horrific accident at the Sepang circuit back in 2011. But it's great to see that his legacy can live on at what is a magnificent circuit, the best of the Italian circuits. My name is Lexi Bowen, and joining me for Split Red tonight is the ever wonderful Sam O'Brien. How are you, Sam?
I'm well, and how about yourself, Lexi?
I am very, very excited to be here once again. Of course, we had a great round last week, but Misano, you really cannot beat it out the Italian tracks in this game. Like what we've got Monza, we've got Imola, we've got Misano, and for me, Misano is the one that comes out on top.
Yeah, definitely, especially with your history here, Lexi, that we were covering before the broadcast started. Quite a pedigree. So I'm expecting expecting some lovely technical feedback from you tonight.
Oh, jeez, you're putting the pressure on me already.
100%. I'm expecting you to be able to give us some insight into what the drivers are feeling, what they're dealing with. I know Misano can be quite tricky on tyres, and we've seen in a couple of the splits last night that the undercut can be really powerful here. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the strategy plays out tonight.
Well, yes, certainly. It's going to be a case of both strategy, but also keeping it as clean as possible, because not only are you dealing with the track limits on the outside of the circuit, but you're also dealing with the very, very harsh limits at turn 14 car at the hairpin. If you cut that at all, even by mistake, you are instantly disqualified. So it is a matter of life or death when you're going through there. As we watch on with Chris Murphy on his first flying lap, coming up to turn 1 into Variante del Parco. That's nice and tight on the inside, takes all the curb that he possibly can. Oh, the Porsche is getting nice and loose out of 2 and into 3. Keep it as tight to the inside as possible. Now you want to take as much around the outside as you break into Rio. Take a little bit of that inside curb and try and keep it a little bit wide on, probably a little bit wider on the outside. But so far it's looking pretty clean. We'll just be looking to set a provisional banker for the moment. Quick run down towards Quersha curb. It's a little bit deceiving how slow you have to go through here to actually get the rotation. Then you can accelerate massively on the exit to get the speed up once again as you head down towards turn 9 and 10 at Tremonto. Takes the outside curb. Now you want to tight to the inside. It's a little bit difficult to get your acceleration point out here, but when you get it right, you gain so much time as we run under the Petronas sign and towards Covone. Nice flat right-hander, nothing too serious for the drivers, but this is the tricky part. Turn 12, you're sort of turning, you have to go wide of the apex just to straighten up your braking point into 13. Now back into 14 at Caro. Oh, that's a little bit deep on this occasion from Chris Murphy, and he's run very, very wide, so he's going to have a lot of time to improve on the next lap. So pretty simple through 15. Now into Misano corner, the final corner on the circuit. Nice and tight to the inside, uses all the road on the outside, and he'll come up to the line to set the first time of the session, and it is a 1:33.7.
Not a bad benchmark there from Chris as all, as Shady, ever present, goes quicker and straight into the 32s for Shady. He is here to do business tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He's not here to stuff around. He's not here to come second. He's not even here to win. He's here to take over. And that's a stonking lap from Shady in the opening barrage.
Very much so. As we watch Breno Ellis, he's cut line was invalid on that initial lap, but now we'll be looking to really set after the first lap times. Currently, Shady Samuel on top with that 32.7, and Squires, the leader, the silver class drivers in that Red Bull Mustang. They're 6.5 or 6 3/4 tenths off of Samuel at the moment. Both drivers are in the Mustang. But yeah, you've also obviously got the class difference, although Aiden Squires has improved massively over the seasons, and it's been great to see as Rashuti had a little bit of a tough time last week, has found a fair chunk of time and is looking to really set after what Shady Samuel has set there. He's about half a second off at the moment, but he's got half a second in hand as he runs down towards turn 12.
Yeah, he did. Stefano had a bit of a tricky race last week, and I'm sure he wants to get back what was taken from him. So has his sights set on a great qualifying session to set up what is going to be a tricky race, Lexi. Quite difficult to pass around here. Tyre deg's quite high. So I'd say in all the races we're at on the calendar this season, it's definitely Misano where qualifying is very important. As Stefano goes across the line, and he is 7/100ths off Samuel. Tell you what, we are in for a fantastic qualifying battle here.
Indeed we are, as Samuel, who is currently on provisional pole, is looking to find a lot of time. He's only just started this lap and he's already 0.4 of a second up. This could be a belter. I mean, we saw an absolute belter from him last week out that gave him that pole position, and really from there he was for the most part unmatched. Did have a few scares in the race. Of course, we were at Spa last week and it was a great battle for the top three between himself, Johnston, and it was off the top of my head was the Audi there of Ellis as well, who was just a little bit further back in this qualifying at the moment. He's currently 9th and he'll be looking to find some improvement. The Audi is definitely not the easiest car to drive, but if anyone can bring the lap times out of it, it's probably Breno Ellis.
You'd like to think that the Misano suits the Audi as well. It's only got that one long back straight, otherwise it's quite tight technical. You know, the most important things here are to get the car stopped and rotated through the corners quickly, and then obviously a great exit out of turn 10 all the way along that back straight. The other thing that's quite difficult, especially from a driver's eye here, is there's a couple of diagonal braking zones where you're actually braking away from the apex. As Shady Samuel goes in for a 32.4, Breno is up hugely here and going into the final corner. What can he reply with as we watch him go through Misano and across the line in a minute?
Oh, it's a little bit wide going through Misano there, so that loses him about 1/10 of a second, but he should still move up to about P3. Yes, he does, just out of Johnston. And here is Squires up to the line. Oh, very close to getting over Johnston and Ellis, but so far it's still in P5. He's 100th ahead of Longley at the moment. Here is Maddox in the 765 Waffle House car.
Every time we see this car on screen, Lexi, I just love it. It reminds me of a Skeletrix car. I'm sure I said that last night. But I don't think you can not look at this car and smile. Hasn't found a whole lot of time through the first sector just yet, but is finding time on the straight. So obviously got a beggar exit there. And that's one of those diagonal braking zones I was talking about, where you've got to brake away from the apex of the corner. As Maddox now unleashes the McLaren along the back straight, and he's picking up time the whole way. So he's obviously got a much better exit there than he did last time. It'll be interesting to see what sort of lap time he can put together as he comes through into Sector 3.
There's another one of those braking zones where you're braking away from the apex, and as you can see, he strays a little bit wide of it, going through the corner as well, so that lost him some time, but gained it all back again at turn 14 at Caro, so clearly has time still to find for Maddox, but he'll come through the final corner. Gets a little bit loose in McLaren, but he gets a better exit than he did on the previous lap. It will be a marginal improvement that will keep him in P8 for the moment, but brings a little bit more breathing space between himself and Murphy.
I think you'll find that he's a touch frustrated after that lap as well. You know, there was some good time to be gained there on the Delta, and unfortunately just threw it away a little bit into Sector 3, which was really easy to do here. That turn 14 hairpin is far more complicated than it looks like, and there is just time waiting to be lost everywhere. As Rashuti goes across the line to start another flying lap, let's see what he's got in the bag here. Lexi, talk us through his lap. Tell us what he's feeling, what he's thinking, where the driver's looking.
So right now, looking right at the apex of 3, gets through there nicely. It was probably a little bit wide at 2, so that compromised the run a little bit. Now, out wide, get to the inside, tight as you can to the apex. Use as much of the road as you can. Probably scrubbed off a little too much speed mid-core. Now, you want to run as wide as you can here without exceeding track limits. And right now, I don't think he has the tyres quite in the window, so he'll need to go again because he's a 10th.5 down on his personal best, which is 3.5 off of what Shady Samuel's been able to do in this session so far. Gets the apex, but runs a little bit wide, perhaps just trying to carry too much speed into the corners, and is compromising the exits massively at the moment. Stay nice and wide to try and maximize the run out of Tramonto, and he does so okay. Again, maybe just a little bit too much going in there because he has lost a bit on the exit. And this is the longest straight, or quote-unquote straight, on the whole circuit. Now, it's about getting it right for turn 12. This is a make or break moment for him. He stays nice and wide. Oh, Ferrari is not handling very well for him at the moment, but he still managed to find a lot of time, but that compromised, again, the run into turn 14 as he wasn't able to find his braking marker. Now it's just a little bit of a left and another left to the line. Gets on the brakes nicely, and he's going to be compromised going on to his next run, so he might I don't think he's going to find any more improvement in this session.
And it looks like he's driving frustrated there, Stefano. All of the braking zones he's going deep, and then he was having to wrestle the car through the corners. So look, let's hope for his sake that he's able to put a clean one together. We have still got time for one, maybe 2 laps, depending on how much fuel he's got on board. So he's definitely got time to catch up to Samuel. 3.5 tenths is a big gap. But look, we've seen Stefano Ricciuti do it before, so there's no reason that he can't do it again.
Indeed. Well, regardless of what happens to Ricciuti, this will be the last lap that Shady Samuel does in this session, and he's matching so far through the first sector and a half of the lap. Finds a little bit going into the breaking point of Quershaw. Can he keep it on the exit? No. So right now he is still matching what his previous best is, which right now is good enough for pole with a 32.440. The Nissan runs off the track to let him go through. Compromised a little bit on the exit, just lost a little bit of time, so it's going to be really touch and go as to whether he can improve, but I think there is a little bit of time in the final sector for Shady Samuel to find, so we'll see whether he can do it. He gets onto the braking point into 13, bit of the inside curb, nearly runs very, very, very wide, manages to get to the apex of turn 14. It's an overall gain for him, but probably not as clean as he would have hoped for. Nice run through turn 15 now into Misano, the final corner at 16. Solid head round. It's a little bit slow on the exit, but it's still going to be a 10th improvement, and that's a 32.332 with Ricciuti and Johnston back in pits. So the only driver that can really challenge him at this point is probably Breno Ellis and Long Lee, but they're not really on laps either. So it's safe to say Shady Samuel has another pole position.
Would say so. Let's not count our chickens before we hatch. It's not unlike Breno to pull something special out of the bag as he crosses the line and makes a lower. I mean, thanks for that one, Breno. We've still got Aiden Squires on a lap, currently leading the silver class and doing a fantastic job up in P6. He's finding a little bit of time coming onto that final, coming into sector 3 there. So we'll see what Aiden's got. The gap to Long Lee is quite small. He doesn't need a lot to get himself another position up the grid here.
If he finds a tenth of a second, that would put him up to P4. So there is still a lot to play for with Aiden here. He probably got on the throw a little bit too early out of Tremonto, and that really compromised running count. Found a little bit of gain earlier on, but that just lost. And yeah, there you go. So a little bit too aggressive there into 15, and that is that. He'll start P6 at best, but still top of silver class, and it's Shady Samuel on pole position once again in the number 5 Mustang, with Ricciuti and Johnston second and third in the Ferrari and Bentley respectively.
That was a great qualifying session, Lexi. It was tit for tat between the top 3, but it did look very, very commanding there from Shady. Now, because we didn't get through the whole grid going front to back last week, we're going to go back to front this week to make sure that we cover everyone's liveries off. We've got Brad Gosling in the Kyle Atlas Motorsport BMW on the left-hand side, which is a fantastic looking livery.
Very much so there, as we now see the 64 there. That is Griffiths there, then the 87, that is Cricky. The 98 Porsche there looks to be Anderson. Before we move over to the number 9 BMW, that is Charitos. The 47 there of Jared Ellis. Before we're moving on to the 118 Kovacs Porsche there of Viney. 666 of Gormley, 62 of Miller, then Brickley in 19th in the 109, followed by Jensen, who we'll just see on the right-hand side here in the 95 Audi.
Some good-looking liveries at the back of the grid. One of the things I love about Split Red is their great professional-looking liveries from front to back. Little insider info for Rob Brickley. That's a new car for him this season and this year. He's been maining the Boatley for a long time and decided that he wanted to challenge himself, so jumped into the machine of death, which is the Porsche. This is his maiden race tonight in the Porsche, so hoping to see what he can do with that new machine.
leaving the Bentley for the Porsche, you're off my Christmas list.
He's a brave man, Lexi. He's a very, very brave man. Tell you what, that fruit bowl livery, I think there's one or two examples of it in every split. And I must say, it is a fantastic looking livery. I love the gradient from the burnt orange through to the pink. And like we said last week, a great homage to, what I would consider a fundamental part of OOR, because it's somewhere we can go and all have a bit of fun and hone our skills.
Yeah, there you go. So Gobby and Hislop there with the fruit bowl liveries before we get to Maddox's Waffle House Scalextric's car livery.
Yeah, that's a quick turnaround from Johnny Hislop too. He was, only 20 minutes ago he was racing in Fuji in Le Mans Ultimate, so he's jumped on a quick plane over to Italy and jumped in a different machine to see if he can have a bit of luck tonight here at Misano.
Supersonic air travel there from Hislop, and he's put himself in P12, so that's a solid qualifying effort in the Nissan. Not the best car in the game by any means. It has seen success around Misano before in OOR, of course, but Hislop there at P12 is the lead Nissan, with Hill just behind him.
That success here at Misano that you're referencing, Lexi, wouldn't happen to be with you. Were you behind the steering wheel, would it?
No, not at all. No.
Someone else, definitely someone else. All right, so right now, the main things the drivers are working on they're trying to make sure they get some heat into those tyres and brakes, and they're thinking about their race start. They want to make sure that they hit that green light as soon as it goes green. And the run into turn one here is treacherous, especially with a big field like we've got and a very tight field. The first sector can either be smiles or tears here at Misano. So we'll see what Split Red has in store for us tonight. If last week is anything to go off, race start was very clean and tidy, and I'm expecting the same level of professionalism from the boys and girls here tonight.
Yep, 100% agree. I mean, around Misano you would expect more tears than smiles, but hopefully if Split Red can survive the peril that is Origin riding on at Spa on lap 1 of a new season, as a Simrigs Sprint Series, then you'd hope that they can survive the Variante del Parco 1, 2, and 3 here at Misano. But we're going to be lining up in double file very, very soon. They'll come through Cara and we'll likely start lining up around then. Any quick predictions for this one, Sam?
I was about to say, you've just stolen my thunder, Lexi. I want to play a new game tonight because we know the track limits of Misano are absolutely brutal. So I want your pick for race win and for first drive through.
Race win, Johnston first drive through. We'll go Jensen.
Righto, I'm going to take Breno Ellis for the race win and first drive through. I'm going to take Timmy Gobb. Gobby's been in the box, so a bit of commentator on commentator. Take us away for the race start, Lexi.
No worries, we've got Samuel Raschuti Johnston, and we are underway with the green flag, 60 minutes, and it's an awful start from Raschuti. Samuel's already over across the cover, and it was nearly 3 wide going to turn 1 because of how poor the start was from the Ferrari. It looks like the Bentley there has managed to get the jump, and further back, they've all managed to get through nice and cleanly. Well done, Split Red. That is excellent stuff. And there you go. You can see that Johnson has managed to stay in P3 ahead of Breno Ellis there, which is encouraging for him. But we will see what happens. But all line astern as we go through the end of the first sector. Looks like Rashuti's managed to stay in P2 for the moment, which is good from now. Ellis up the inside there of Johnston. It's going to turn into the outside line, which might complicate things. We got Longley there to capitalize if there's a mistake from either of these two drivers. Ellis is going to try and hold around the outside, but you're not really going to do that very easily here, and the Bentley does get the upper hand and manages to cut off the line there. Now he's got a bit of a slipstream, and he's going to have to go side by side through turn 12 and turn 13. This almost never ends well. What's going to happen here between these two? We'll see. It looks like, wow, Ellis has managed to get the jump. That is a brilliant move. Brave move into 12 and 13.
Johnson will be absolutely seething under that helmet tonight, watching Breno sail past him through there. Such a tricky spot to make an overtake, and Breno's been able to make it stick. That was very clean and professional from Split Red tonight. Hats off. Well
Not a
done.
single yellow flag.
Well, don't curse it, Lexi. Don't curse it. We've still got 58 minutes of this race to go. As Shady Samuel has hit warp drive and has disappeared. He's got a 1.2 second gap to Stefano Rasciuti, who, because Breno and Johnson have also been tangling, they've got then a 1.5 second gap between Rasciuti and Ellis there. As we look further down the field, Aiden Squires has maintained his silver class lead off the start, and then a fifth who we saw a sort of up and down race from last week. He's obviously got pace. You know, he's outclassing that AM class field at the moment, but we'll see if his racecraft is good enough to be able to hold on for the 57 minutes that we've got remaining.
Indeed, we will see what happens, but yeah, nice and clean. The 666 did go around at the back, unfortunately, on the start of the second lap here. So first lap was nice and clean, second lap not so much, but either way, it's been a solid start from Split Red regardless, and Patrick Johnston is not going to let Ellis go, although that Bentley is looking very, very loose in the rear.
And passing's going to be tricky tonight. So even though that we're sort of getting into the end of lap 2, these drivers they're going to have to stay cool, calm, and collected. Even though we saw Breno make that pass on Johnston, passes do not come easy here at Misano, as we're going to get a replay of this 666 going round.
Yeah,
let's see what happens.
A bit of Audi Tings. Yep, it is Audi Tings. Oh, ouch! That is major damage there for Gormley.
Bit of snap oversteer on that exit curb, and then just couldn't quite collect the car up there. Not good for Gormley, but hey, look, he can get in, fix that damage, put a new set of boots on, fill it to the brim, and just drive one long stint home. And if he's in clean air, he's not a slouch, Gormley.
Well, at the moment he stayed out, so I'm assuming that there is a pit window that the drivers have to abide by in this race. So waiting for that before he can serve his mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, of course there is. Good call. Good call. That one slipped my mind a little bit, unfortunately. As we now watch Maddox on Murphy, and that battle looks like it's going to heat up, because we've got Ramesh Samuel right on the back of that one as well. So we'll just keep an eye on this battle and watch it unfold. All three of these guys are really good operators. So I expect to see some nice, clean wheel-to-wheel racing. And, see if that McLaren can hunt Chris Murphy down on that back straight and maybe make a move into the hairpin here. Tricky place to make a move, but you can get it done. There's a little bit wide on exit there, which isn't going to favour him coming into the next section.
Yeah, just maybe stayed a little too tight to the inside, and that made him run a bit further wide as Shady Samuel absolutely fly away with this. I think that lap time there would put him like 4th or something in the qualifier that we just had before, and that he took pole position in. So not bad for the start of a race from Shady Samuel, who's already 2.5 seconds clear of Rasciuti.
Look, himself and his machine are obviously well mated to this track. Shady obviously feels comfortable here at Misano, and it obviously favours the Mustang strengths. He's only that fastest lap's only 3 or 4 tenths off his pole position time, and there's quite a gap building now to Stefano Rasciuti. So we saw in a couple of the earlier splits in the week that the undercut is very powerful. So if Stefano, once that pit window opens, it might be an idea to take your pit stop early, get into some clean air, because obviously that's what Shady's got at the front. So, then he can sort of duke it out pace for pace and see how it plays out at the end of the race. But very commanding first few laps here from Shady.
Indeed. Well, we'll keep an eye on what the drivers do as the race progresses. Oh, that's very loose from Patrick Johnston, who's falling into the clutches there of Long Lee, who has Aiden Squires just behind for company. So Ellis is starting to break clear of the Bentley, and the Bentley is now falling into some pressure from behind, which could spice things up in this race for sure.
Yeah, I always enjoy watching what I call the accordion effect. You know, when you're watching a group of cars that are very closely matched on pace, you'll watch one make a mistake and build a gap, and then another make a mistake, and that gap will reduce. And you know, those gaps sort of ebb and flow throughout the stint, and it's so important from a driver's perspective, especially if you feel that you're behind someone or you're being held up, to stay calm. And like we were talking about last week, Lexi, not go for those, you know, for those 50-50 moves. Make sure that you are right under the rear wing and that the move's 100% on before you attempt it. Because with a field bunched so much like this, you know, you make an offhand 50-50 pass, end up off the track, and you can end up down the back of the grid quite quickly.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Misano and S2R are very similar in that regard, where you have to be really careful of the moves that you make, and if you make any rash decision and cause an incident, well, it can yeah, lead to some calamitous outcomes, as we see 10 seconds for John Gormley, so hasn't been the cleanest of races so far for the 666 Audi, as we see all the drivers running through turn 13 now and into car 14. It's very interesting to see how the cars handle through there. Shady Samuel sets another fastest lap with a 32.792. He is flying away with this one. 3.6 seconds clear. He does not want a repeat of the close calls he had last week.
No, he's definitely got the bit between his teeth tonight. And this is a great three-way battle that we're watching between Johnson, Longley, and Aiden Squires, who leading the silver class, but mixing it up there with the pros. When Aiden first came to OR, there was no doubt that he was quick, but his racecraft sometimes let him down. As we're watching Maddox and Murphy here, and Maddox has thrown it up the inside at the end of the long straight there. The power of the McLaren overcoming the Porsche. Remez touches the back of Murphy. That's just a clumsy move. You couldn't get the car stopped in time. So, you know, probably an invoice coming there, as Aiden is tucked right up behind and looking for the outside here on Longley.
Tried a little bit of a switchback there, but Longley was aware of that and parked right on the apex, so Squires couldn't use the overspeed, and now it's just got to hope that Mustang has enough grunt going down the straight, which it certainly has the grunt, but it's whether that straight is long enough, and right now it certainly isn't. Oh dear, that got very, very close. Squires did very well to actually pull that up, to be fair.
Yeah, and was that a bump? I think that may have been a little love kiss there.
It's very close.
Just reminding Longley, like, hey mate, I'm here, and you mess up, and I'm going to drive straight past you, so you better keep it between the white lines. No doubt Longley's feeling the pressure from Aiden breathing down his neck here as we go back into Sector 1. You know, the Mustang doesn't really love these tight technical sections. But that big long back straight will definitely favour it, as we cut to Hislop, who a bit of a cork in the bottle here at the moment, with Hill, Curtis, Afif, and Remez bunched up behind him.
It's actually Chalmers who's leading the way of this train.
Oh, my apologies. I don't know how I missed that stunning green and silver Porsche, but somehow I did. I was too focused on the fruit bowl livery, I think, there, Lexi.
That's fair enough. That fruit bowl livery is very, very beautiful indeed. But yes, that is Chalmers, who is the lead of the Pro-Am drivers at the moment. And Hislop is the one who is chasing after, as we have Remez up the inside of Norfolk 5th and looks to have gotten the move done as the pit window now opens. So they've got 40 minutes to make their mandatory stop before that closes, with 10 minutes to go in this race.
We'll see if we see any cars diving into the pits here for an early pit. You know, if my money would be on John Gormley.
Well, yeah, Gormley's in.
He's in. Yeah, there you go. I expected that to happen pretty quickly. That Audi of his did look very second-hand.
Yes, indeed, and he's going to fall a lap behind Shady Samuel here, because, of course, not only does he have that damage, but he also had that 10-second penalty for the collision on lap 1. So it is unfortunate circumstances for Gormley, who's having yet another tough week here in the Simrigs Sprint Series for Split Red.
Does look like that he's going to come out right in the middle of this lap traffic here as well, which is going to put him into blue flag purgatory. So He's going to have to keep his head down, try and build a comfortable gap to the car in front, and slowly start to unlap himself until the rest of the field comes in for a pit. Judging on the earlier splits, I'm expecting to see the bulk of the field pit, but somewhere between 25 and 30 minutes to go. It's just what we've seen be sort of the go-to strategy from the other three. Like I've said, the undercut is very powerful here, though. The tyres seem to just absolutely fall off a cliff. You've got grip, and then all of a sudden you are Bambi on ice.
Wear grip.
Yeah. We were having a look at one of the pro drivers in the other split last night, and there was a 5-second difference between their fastest lap and their last couple of laps before they came into the pit. So that tyre,
Wow.
it's huge here, and it's really going to play into the race.
So yeah, absolutely massive tyre delta is once again long lead just a little bit wide. I wonder if that's actually a deliberate line he's taking there to try and maximize the exit and leave himself in a little bit of a better position compared to Squires going into the final corner, because it looked like Squires is very confident on the brakes. Marshy, you did miss a little bit of a Audi moment for Gormley on lap 2, the 666 spinning out on the exit of turn 6 with just normal Audi things, as we see Hill come into the pits, the number 14 Nissan.
And just looking down the timing tree, we've got some great tight battles the whole way down, and another great showing from Charados in the number 9 BMW. Had a great outing at Spa last week, and as you know, that's quite a tight pack. Everyone from sort of Zavaka down, there's tenths in it. So it'd be really interesting to watch this battle play out. We've got Rob Brickley behind him in his newly beloved Porsche. He's only just recently taken delivery of that one, and I'm sure he's looking to gobble up Charados as he goes through. And we've also got Zach Jensen tucked right up behind Rochford, only 4.5 tenths the difference between those two.
Yes, indeed. So plenty of nice tight little trains around the Misano World Circuit, but haven't seen too many moves, although that is very, very wide for Charados. We're pumping it up, and he's being caught by the commentator's curse as he runs wide and loses position to Brickley.
I think that's my first commentator's curse, Lexi.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
And, we've got our first drive-through, and that is Mr. Hill there, who's come out of the pits.
Oh, that's got to be speeding in the pit lane. I wasn't banking on that for our little game, as Charados gets very close to the back end of Rob's Porsche there. Do we maybe discount Hill's?
It's a drive-through.
Yeah, that means we both lose, and that's no fun, though.
Well, we can be losers together, and that's always fun, because that means we can wallow in our sorrows.
Sounds like a plan to me. Sounds like a plan to me. So, Mr. Brickley, we're very happy with taking that position, and he's now got 1.3 seconds to the car in front, which is currently the car on screen, which is the bright metallic green Audi of Zach Jensen, doing very well there in 17th place, and tucked up behind this battle pack of Viney, Zavaka, and Rochford. A really good mix of manufacturers in here as well. So we're going to see the strengths and weaknesses of each machinery play out. You'd probably think that Zavaka in that GDR is going to have the legs on the rest of the cars down the back straight, but they're going to have his number through the technical sections of Sector 1 and Sector 3.
I think with the Nissan, it's just the amount of drive it's able to get in the early parts of the straight, because that turbo really goes brrrr at the start of the straight. So as the straight progresses, it starts to lose that top end speed and gets a little bit closer in comparison to what the Porsche is able to produce. But yeah, you can see how much Zavaka was able to pull away from Rochford at the start of the straight, and it was still some gaining, but has made the mistake into 13, and that's going to allow Rochford through, and Jensen had a look as well, but couldn't make anything of it. So Zavaka loses a position with the mistake at 13, and down to 16th he goes as we see Chris Murphy into the pits.
That was a lovely, cool, calm and collected move there from Scotty Rochford. And I think that's going to be the name of the game tonight. Pressurise the driver in front, wait for a mistake, and then capitalise. We have got the heavy braking zones of turn 8 and then sort of turn 12, 13, 14, which will be, I think, the hot spots for moves tonight.
Yep.
But like we've seen already, to make a move into turn 14, you've got to be very, very brave and very confident on the brakes.
Either very brave, or you've got to force the driver in front of you to make a mistake. We've had an interesting question come in from Mr. Murray Snow in chat there. If you say how bad everyone drives, do they drive well then? Sort of the commentator's curse in a more positive light, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether karma works that way, but I don't think I'm willing to try it on live broadcast, Lexi. I'm not going to sit here and slag out one of our drivers just hoping that they progress a bit further up the field. I think that'd be a bit unfair, especially if they've got friends and family watching.
Yeah, look, it's typically not advised for commentators to express such negative views, but I'm sure if it was scientifically proven to provide some improvement to the drivers and essentially make them race winners week by week, I'm sure you'd realize where the biases start to form. But no, I think we'll leave that more down to interpretation than anything.
We'll just leave that one up to the universe. As commentators, it's our job to be Switzerland.
Yes.
Be very neutral and just call it how we see it. And look, hands up.
There's another drive through. That's Jared Ellison. That is for track limits. That is our first track limits drive through.
Oh. Unfortunately, Jared, you win the track limits prize for this week at Misano. Your trophy is a drive-through penalty, which I'm sure won't be all that enjoyable. But welcome to the club. I'm sure everyone's got a drive-through here at Misano, so it's pretty prestigious, and we even have jackets.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, Jared Ellis, he's had a bit of a tough time in ACC throughout his career, but has seen good success in our former F1 series, which unfortunately doesn't run anymore due to Codemasters being Codemasters and EA being EA, but we shall see what happens. I mean, there's plenty of other fantastic series going on. Of course, we had our Le Mans Ultimate race at Fuji earlier, which involved both hypercars and some GT3s in that Motorsports Games owned simulator. And of course, we've got stuff running in AMS2. We've had stuff in WRC as well in iRacing. So plenty going on in the world of OOR.
I've just had a thought, Lexi, which is dangerous, and you'll probably get David Marsh jump in chat and tell me not to hurt myself. If there's one driver on the grid that probably deserves a bit of negative encouragement, because his car seems to be fitted with an incident magnet, is that the 87? Is that the
Cricky.
87 GTR?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cricky is just more unlucky than anything. He's always seems to find himself caught up in some kind of incident, whether it's his own fault or the mistakes of others. I mean, last week he got absolutely decimated at Radeon at Spa, right on the start of the race. So great way to start the season for the usual Nissan driver here. But yeah, it's hard to really say.
Well, should we try it? We just say that Michael Crick is he's driving a horrible race tonight. It's definitely not his best stuff. I've definitely seen him do better. And yeah, I'm just not impressed with poor Cricky tonight.
Should stick to making the liveries or something like that, something along those lines. That hurts to say. Oh no.
All right, well there you go, Murray. We've thrown it into the universe. Let's see if the reverse commentator's curse works for that one. Now we've had our first little barrage of pit stops. So we've had Murphy, Ramez, Hill, and Gormley into the pits, and I think Murphy's going for that undercut, but he's got a long way to go on that set of tyres. 40 minutes and counting at the moment. There's a big moment there from Johnson, and these three are still going toe to toe. Johnson, Longley, and then Squires, these guys have been under each other's rear wings for the first third of this race. Some fantastic driving and car control from these three to keep them millimetres from each other, feel each other's mirrors, but not have any incidents so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing that's saving Johnston is he's just getting enough of a run out of the corners onto the straight, so he's not coming under pressure into the heavy braking zones at 8, 10, or 14. So he's able to maintain that position in P4, although Long Lee looks very, very fast behind him, and Squires equally looks like he's solid for a potentially top 4 result.
I think this is one of those moments where we're seeing the strengths and weaknesses of the machinery play out. You know, the Bentley has got great exit acceleration. Seems to lose it in the top end, gets to about 280 and hits a wall. But let's face it, not often are you passing people at 280. It's into and out of corners. So the Bentley looking after its driver there, but he does have 2 very menacing front engine machines right behind him, waiting for him to make any sort of mistake.
Indeed. Well, I mean, if you're driving at 280 and then hit a wall, you wouldn't be going 280 anymore now, would you?
A figure of speech, Lexi.
Well, I mean, it's as Jeremy Clarkson once said, it's not speed that kills you, it's the sudden stop at the end. That's what gets you.
So said the great man himself. I guess what I'm saying is the Bentley seems to run out of puff at about 280. I don't know whether it's gearing or, you know, that naturally aspirated V8 just can't rev any harder.
It's a boat. Who put all this air in front of me? It's slowing me down. Ah, yes. That is very accurate from our very smiley race control there. Yeah, the Bentley is quite the boat. It is quite large. I don't think it's the heaviest car in the game, but it definitely produces a bit of drag based on its profile.
But a fantastic machine to throw around.
Oh, well and truly.
So much fun. Sounds fantastic.
Indeed it does, and Johnston's doing a very solid job at keeping it in P4. Wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing one of these drivers come in, and there you go. Aiden Squires is the one. Oh no, he's bumped the pit wall. He's done the exact thing you don't want to do when you come into the pits, and that's going to be about 3-4 seconds worth of damage he'll have to repair if he so chooses. But that could be a situation where he's broken the steering rod and is going to be slightly down on one side.
Yeah, hopefully he's not done any suspension damage there. It didn't look like a big enough of a tap to affect the aero balance too much, but definitely not what you're looking for. You're coming in for the undercut. You think you've got the jump on the cars in front in terms of strategy, and you know, just have a momentary lapse in judgment coming into the pits there and to tap that wall. So we've got another tight battle here. I think we're going to say that all night, Lexi. We've got another tight battle. You know, this one is between Chalmers, Hislop, and Curtis tucked up behind him. We'll see what can happen here. You know, there's 8 tenths covering those 3 cars, and you know, you'd think the Porsche out front would be a bit vulnerable on corner exit between those 2 other front engine machines. So we'll see what happens here as we lead on to the very long back straight.
Yeah, definitely.
Has Hislop got enough of a drive and run here to catch Chalmers? It doesn't. Oh, it might look like it. He's kind of showing the nose there. He's getting a bit interested here, Johnny Hislop. Is he going to throw it up the inside? He's not quite brave enough there. Is he brave enough into turn 14? And he's too far back. He's decided it's better to live to fight another day. And we just saw in the bottom right hands of our screen that Long Lee has jumped into the pits as well. He's decided to take the undercut tactic, get himself into some free air, and you know, see if he can sort of punch out some quick laps.
Sort of reacting as well to what Aiden Squires did behind him. But yeah, as you were saying, the Porsche would be a little bit compromised on the straight, but it's a lot better through the corners than the Nissan and the Mustang. So that does help Chalmers' hopes in this race a little bit more. But yeah, as you saw, Hislop, with the power of the turbo that Nissan produces, was able to gain so much time, but he's lost a lot of it through this first sector just because of how tight and twisty it is. But we see now Longley is on his way out of pits. He's rolling through pit lane now as we see the 109ers go around. That is Brickley. But there's a little bit of a fight here between the 5th and Rochford. Rochford's going to be looking to go to the inside very, very soon, you would expect. Perhaps into turn 10, because I'm not sure what the Porsche's like compared to the BMW on the straight. Can't get it close enough on this occasion, so might need to do it a little bit later on. But manages to get a little bit close going onto the straight. What's the slipstream like? I can't really see. Okay, he's a little bit too far back on this occasion. Meanwhile, it looks like... yeah, okay, so Longley's come out a long way ahead of Squires here as we watch a replay of the Porsche that went... Oh, that's an equipment failure. That's
that does look like a hardware failure to me, unfortunately for Rob Brickley. Tears and sad faces all round. I'm sure that's not something that you ever want to see. So he's into the pits. Let's see if he can get his rig sorted and jump back into the race. On what was proving to be a good maiden outing in that Porsche for him. So hopefully he can get it sorted and get back out on track.
Yeah,
because we've just seen Johnson jump into the pits as well. So we'll see where he feeds out. And I'm just waiting for the timing tree to update to have a look at the gap of Shaney, Samuels, and Judy, because I think that was approaching the sort of 10-second mark or a little bit over. We haven't spoken about Shady for a little bit because he's been so far out the front.
This is going to be tight between Johnston and Longley. I think Longley might get him because he's going to have a lot more speed. And yeah, he will absolutely get him. It's going to be a question as to whether Johnston can get out ahead of Squires, really. So I think both of these drivers fluff their pit stops. And what do you know? Johnston's gone from leading both of these drivers to being behind both of them.
And that's the power of the undercut here and the massive tyre delta you get. Johnson stayed out 2 laps longer than Squires, and obviously 1 lap on Longley, and the boys were just able to make use of that fresh rubber on their out laps, and unfortunately built quite a big gap.
I think Johnston has had some kind of issue in his pit stop because both he and Squires have dropped nearly 6 seconds back from Longley, and Squires came in before Longley as well. When we know that he had his little issue with the hit on the inside wall, so may have looked to repair it. Has Johnston done the same? Oh, don't tell me. Oh, you're kidding. They did the exact same thing.
So they can go up after the race and put a fruit bowl sticker on that wall, I think, to just remind themselves that the pit wall is there, and touching it is definitely not an esports strat for entering the pits.
Wow. So 2 drivers making the same mistake, and that's left Longley in a brilliant position, 6.1 seconds clear now of Aiden Squires, and in provisional P4 in this race.
That's fantastic result. Longley will be stoked with how the pit stop round has played out. And as we cut to Shady, I'd forgotten what that car looks like, but he's now close to 9 seconds ahead of Stefano. And he's very, very hard to beat in clear air. He is Shady. So as Breno Ellis comes into the pits from P3, I didn't quite get to see the gap between him and Stefano before he came in.
It was about 4 or 5 seconds, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. So probably a bit long for the undercut, depending how long Stefano stays out.
It's just off an estimate, because I think, no, it would be about 3 seconds, because I think I saw 2.9 pop up on the feed before, and that was like about 8 seconds back to I think it was Chalmers, or it was Maddox, who's also into the pits.
Interesting. Well, we'll see that. We'll see where those cars feed back out, and see if he's been able to jump in on strategy as opposed to just pace alone. As we're on board, well, not quite on board, but we're looking at the Porsche of Gobby here. Sitting quite comfortable, currently in the silver class lead minus pit stops. But we'll see as he comes in if he's able to get the jump on Squires, or whether Squires is still quite a ways up the road.
Indeed, as here is Blake Griffiths, currently sitting P7 on the road, but we still has to make a mandatory pit stop, and this one started right towards the pack, and as had a quiet race, but a solid race so far. Hasn't really done anything stupid, done anything wrong. Of course, I believe was commentating the LMUs before, so that was good to see from Blake, and she had to very quickly jump across into Split Red for her ACC race after that.
Yeah, it's a tough ask to jump straight from the comms box and into the car cold and go and set a flying qualifying lap. So doing really well there. And I'll tell you what, in my experience from the cockpit, there is nothing wrong with a quiet race. If you're having a quiet race, you're generally having a good race. Yes. And I find that when you see what position you cross the line in at the end, you, at least I'm generally surprised at where I finished. So hopefully in for a good one.
Yeah, it's all about just chipping away at it little by little. So we see both Samuel and Rashudi come into the pits. It's interesting to see where Rashudi is in comparison to Ellis in the number 17, as that is Shady Samuel. That is Stefano Rashudi. Number 17, Audi, is coming around the final corner now. So you'd think it should be Rashudi ahead of Ellis, but you never know.
This is going to be tight for the 164. It's quite a long transit lane out of here, as Breno's just gone through turn 1 and into turn 2, and still quite a comfortable margin, sort of 2 or 3 second gap there by the looks of things. So well done, Stefano, to stay out and maintain his position there.
The gap has definitely come down, but yeah, he's able to manage it well enough, and now we see Shady Samuel overtaking Brad Gosling. This is for position at the moment, actually. As Gosling gets out of the way, just doesn't want to get too involved with the very, very fast Shady Samuel, and that is fair enough. Still has to make a pit stop. Getting calls from Toto in chat to a red flag race, clearly with Gobby in the lead. There's Gobby, a bit of a fan favourite amongst OOR spaces, as Chalmers comes in the pits.
We're just watching these final pit stops sort of play out and shake out, and then we'll see what the grid looks like at the end with the last final sprint to the finish. Surprisingly, we've got a few people going quite long as Shady Samuels goes up the inside of Anderson, who doesn't make that one too hard for him. Mind you, he does sort of attempt to fight that position back, but look, I think Shady's got his number. Shady will slowly make his way through the rest of the field and resume his place in P1, I presume.
Yes, I mean, unless he makes enough moves in the next 26 minutes, he'll be waiting for the likes of Gobby and Hislop to come into the pits. Not sure what the gap will be like to Zavaka, but I'd say he'd be waiting for Zavaka to come into the pits as well.
Yeah, look, in my experience in racing with Shady, he doesn't wait for much. Very professional driver, but I have been blue flagged to him more times than I care to admit. And he...
Sorry to interrupt, but am I seeing this right? Is the gap between Samuel and Rashudi really only 3 seconds now?
Yeah, I think you're correct. We'll wait for the timing tree to update.
How has that come down by like 6 seconds?
Did Shady have a shocker of a pit stop?
I'm not sure, but either way, Rashudi is back in touching distance, and so is Ellis, as Ellis is now only a second behind Rashudi.
I wonder if it's a bit of this blue flag traffic playing havoc with our leaders here, just, holding them up, obviously not intentionally, and jumping off the racing line at the first safe opportunity. But with these guys so rapid at the front, it kind of doesn't matter who they've got in front of them, they are going to lose time. So as we see Stefano struggling to get through some of these other cars here, as he goes up the inside of Misano on Anderson there. And Anderson well within his right to be fighting that one, as it is for position. And he's got the inside run here into turn 1, which is a dangerous place to make a move. And he's going to make Stefano work for it. Go around the hard way on the outside, and Stefano has got that move done. We've got a replay of the pit stop here for Shady.
Oh. Did he accidentally turn the car off?
Quite possibly. That's an odd one.
Rather than turning off the pit limiter, he accidentally turned off the whole car.
Well, that explains it.
Well, I mean, yeah, with the blue flag Havoc, it's now back up to 4.5 seconds. But yeah, that's an interesting one from Samuel. He has to keep it exciting now, doesn't he?
Look, our race winner from Split Green did something similar at race start last night. Decided that gapping the field by 4 or 5 tenths in quali and then starting P1 was too easy, and gave up 2 or 3 positions into turn 1 just to challenge himself.
Oh, how kind, how kind. Yeah, getting confirmation from Kamaris, because we can't audibly hear that, so we're just going off of what we can assume. But yeah, he did turn the car off accidentally. So congratulations, Shady. You got your buttons mixed up.
Oh, look, no harm, no foul. He's still 5 seconds ahead of Stefano,
Yeah,
and in a very comfortable, commanding lead. As
very much so.
we're now on the bonnet with Bruno Ellis, and we're going to watch him go through this very technical first section here as he's hunting down Stefano.
That looked so smooth through the first chicane there. Car didn't look like it was running away from him at all. And yeah, he's looking like he's going to start to put some pressure onto Stefano Rasciuti in the Sofa King fast entry that it is tonight. It's not so slow anymore.
It's such a commentator's trip up, that team name. I find if you say it slowly and enunciate, you get around their little game. As we watch that gap just continue to decrease, and I wonder if Stefano has maybe made a little error with his tyre pressures here for the second stint, as that car doesn't look anywhere near as cool, calm, and collected in the first stint. As you know, continues to come down. We're now at a 1.1 second gap in the battle for the second step on the podium.
Less than a second now. Ellis is finding a reasonable amount of time. The Ferrari and the Audi are very similar in terms of their car qualities. They're quite good through corners, but sometimes they just don't like you and will throw you into a wall just because they feel like it.
Yeah, I drove the Ferrari last season and was very pleasantly surprised. I do like that machine. But yeah, that sort of exit oversteer on that car can be quite severe if you haven't got it quite in the window. And so maybe that's what Stefano's struggling with at the moment. A Shady Samuel, to add insult to injury, just goes and banks in another flying lap. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more fastest laps from Shady before the end of the race as that fuel level burns off.
Yeah, turns out turning the car off was actually just Shady putting the Mustang into overdrive, as he is going to keep going faster and faster as this race goes on, and it's going to be very hard to beat from here, barring any sort of instance. But right now, he's all on his own on the track.
All right, so we're 2/3 of the way through race distance, and just having a look at the timing tree, looking how our interclass battles are playing out. Rob Maddox currently got 3 seconds on Aiden Squires, so that pit stop boo-boo definitely cost him, and he's got a whole lot of time to try and make up on Maddox, as Ramez Samuel down there in third in the silver class and 6 tenths off the back of Chris Murphy. Pete Chalmers has had a stonking race. He's been just purely in command of the Pro-Am class all race. I don't think I've seen him put a foot wrong. And he's been holding up Johnny Hislop. It looks like they're they get to return serve and resume the battle for the final stint there. And then a fifth in the number 6 BMW leading the M class, currently getting hassled by Zach Jensen in the 95 bright green Audi, who's now only 4 tenths off the back of him. I wonder if Zach's going to be sort of brave enough to make a move up here shortly. He's not quite close enough, but has obviously been closing that gap down. Charados, another great race from him in the number 9 BMW. And, he's tucked right up behind Zavaka there. I'm not sure whether Zavaka's just passed him or whether that's a battle that we're going to be able to watch play out. And then Miller in the 62 Porsche, rounding out the podiums for the M class so far.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like our little negative spiel on Cricky's working so far. He's sitting P20 and hasn't been caught up in any sort of incident, so already much better than what he experienced last week.
Yeah, don't jinx the magic, though. Don't jinx the magic. We don't want to talk about Cricky for the rest of the race. let him have a quiet race and a good result. And I've just noticed that the 109 of Rob Brickley is still in the pits, so unfortunately that hardware issue doesn't look like it's going to be a quick fix for him, which is unfortunate. As we're on the back with Charados, and it does look like Charados is hassling Zavaka here in that GDR. He's staying nice and close to him through Rio, which is a very technical and tricky section. Back end of the car, always trying to get out from behind you and overtake the front as they make the dive down to, I've lost my track numbers, the hairpin of turn 8. I'm not even attempting to pronounce that.
Yeah, yeah, it's
just...
Pleasure. That's how I pronounce it, at least.
All right, you could coach me off stream, and I'll make a fool of myself there. So lost a little bit of time there, Charados to Zavaka on that straight, which we'd expect watching a GDR battle at BMW. And Breno has caught right up to the back of Stefano, where we've got a race on, Lexi. Dying 17 minutes. Breno is on a mission. He's got the bit between his teeth. He's sick of staring at the back of the pink and white Ferrari of Stefano's and decided that he'd really like to take that second spot.
Yep, he wants to replace that sofa with a full-size bed and place that Audi where he believes it belongs, up in a second spot, of course. Shady Samuel, probably a step too far for either of these drivers. He's 6.9 seconds clear. Would be a pretty nice gap, but probably not so much for these two.
No, look, that's a big ask of anyone to hunt down a 7.2 second gap in 17 minutes, especially when the driver that you're trying to make the gap up to is Mr. Samuel. So, look, I think if Breno can pip Stefano here, he'll be absolutely chuffed with that. And
there's a drive through for North or fifth.
Oh, commentator's curse again. We shouldn't have said that he was having a good race. My apologies, a fifth.
So that's 2 for you tonight, isn't it?
Wow. The now that
you got your first one out of the way, now you're addicted.
It's what do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. As we're on board with, I believe, Jensen.
Yes, it's be Jensen. I'm gonna guess it's on the exit of oh dear.
Whoa,
Jensen actually had a little bit of a moment himself.
What a catch from Zach there. He's done so well to keep that car pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, we saw an Audi go off there earlier in the form of Gormley, and on that occasion Jensen was able to actually save it, and that's very, very hard to do. So hats off to him, but I think we saw exactly where North or Fifth might have picked up that drive-through, just going a little bit wide through the exit of turn 6. Very easy to do.
And it seems that everything's calmed down now a little bit. The field has extended. If you have a look on the track map, you can see there that the field is quite spread out. We do still have some tight battles going on. Obviously, we've got Ricciuti and Breno Ellis battling for the second step on the podium there, and Ramez Samuel tucked right on the back of Chris Murphy. This is a battle that we've seen playing out all race, and we've also got Chalmers, who decided that he's not happy that Aiden got past him, and he's got 15 minutes and 6/10 to get the job done.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, Johnston's well and truly on a mission. He'll be looking for a bit of redemption. Maddox doing very, very well up there in P5. He's managed to quietly jump Aiden Squires in all of this with the instance that those two experienced, and now is all over the back of Longley, looking to take P4 in this race, where meanwhile we have Breno Ellis still trying to close that gap to Ricciuti, but Ricciuti's found a little bit of time over the past few laps and is found himself in a bit more of a comfortable position. But here is Maddox, who again driving an excellent race in that Waffle House McLaren. I think started P9 this race and is up to P5 looking at P4. Brilliant drive.
All right, Lexi. So as our resident Misano whisperer, where can Maddox gain time on the Merc in front of him? Where can he look to really close down that delta and then ultimately make the pass?
I think for the McLaren, it's going to be all just commitment through 1, 2, and 3, and potentially a bit of a late aggressive move in the 4, or trying to get as much exit speed as possible through 8 so you can send it up the inside 10. The usual spots where you can make moves at 8 and 13-14 aren't really ideal for the McLaren against the Merc, I believe.
Yeah, that Merc again, big, powerful front engine car, has got some grow. That's a big moment there from Johnson. He's done well to catch that.
He's
Great
had a few of those.
Yeah, that Bentley has been a little bit uncharacteristically oversteery for him tonight. I wonder if he's running a bit of a low downforce setup just to try and combat that long straight across the back. I'm not quite sure whether the Bentley manages to reach top speed there or not. But, possibly decides to sacrifice some time in the tight and twisties to gain a bit of time on that long straight and look for an overtaking move, as Breno has halved that gap to Stefano. Stefano's obviously had a bit of a mistake here, and he's now going to be hunting him down into the turn 8 hairpin. Looks a little bit too far back to make a move here, but Stefano, with not long to go in this race, would definitely be feeling the pressure from Breno breathing down his neck.
Yeah, it's a marked improvement from Rashidi this week compared to last. Of course, got caught up with in a few incidents at Spa. A few penalties went his way, and now, he's sitting in P2 in a brilliant position, looking to capitalize on the pace and consistency he's shown tonight. So we have a bit of a split screen camera. Excellent to see. The battle for P2 between Rashidi and Alice, and the battle for P4 between Long Lee and Maddox. Maddox is following along, getting ever closer, but too far back still. And it's gonna probably be in a more unorthodox position for Maddox to make a move. He'd have to force Longley into some kind of error.
These 6 drivers here are going 2 by 2 by 2. With each of the chasing cars under half a second to the car in front. So I think we could be in for some fireworks towards the end of the race. You do see as that race timer counts down, drivers start to get a little bit more desperate just to make that move and take that extra step up the ladder. So, we hope, and we just hope they stay cool, calm, collected, make that move right and make it stick, as opposed to trying something a bit half-baked.
Yeah, and as we get closer to this race, we're going to start to see more of those desperate attempts given a look, and we might see a few tears at the end of this one, but right now they are keeping it nice and clean, nice and tidy, and it's going to be a very, very exciting finish to this hour-long sprint series race for Split Red here at the Marco Simoncelli Misano World Circuits.
Been a great race. Not as many fireworks and as much action as we saw at Spa, but we knew going in that this would be a chess match. This would be a game of consistency and patience, and I think we've seen that play out tonight with some of the drivers that definitely had the pace, but have suffered on the leaderboard just through small incidents. We've seen nothing major, and these guys that have will review their race and probably be a little bit unhappy with those moments. It's definitely a game of inches. An inch here, an inch there, and unfortunately you've lost a couple of tenths to the car behind.
Yep, it's one of those moments where you have to be really precise and really tight, and when you just fall a little bit out of line, that's where you can really lose time, as we saw with Squires and Johnson, who are 2 of the drivers fighting on track at the moment for P6 and P7. That really cost them, because they could have been right in the thick of it with Longley and Maddox.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch it play out, as Johnson is right on the back of Squires, and we've also got Maddox tucked up right on the back of Longley, which we've seen play out sort of lap after lap here. The strengths and weaknesses of those 2 cars complementing each other perfectly or horribly, depending on where you're sitting. The Merc quick on the straights and the McLaren quick through the twisty bits. And Maddox just hasn't been able to find enough advantage to be able to put that car up alongside, as Johnson is very, very close to Squires here, looking very hungry, and that gap is just ever so slightly coming down. So we'll see if he can find something special in these last dying minutes and put it past Aiden Squires.
Yeah, that got very, very close to the inside there. Probably unsettled the car on the exit, so won't be able to make a move going into zone 13. But the Mustang is probably the best car in the game for straight line speed. Say for them, on average at least, it would be. At some tracks it may be challenged somewhat by a Honda, for example, but right now the Mustang is definitely king. There's a little bit of grass there from Johnson. That's compromised his run through Misano corner, so he's going to lose a bit of time overall. Yeah, he's about half a second off at the moment, so still nice and tight. And speaking of tight, here is the moment potentially for Maddox. He just loses a little bit going through turn 3, which means he can't get close enough for a move into Rio, but it's building.
It is building. And I think, you know, us sitting here in the comms booth and all of our viewers are just sitting on the edge of their seats, waiting to see if how this one's going to play out. You know, is it going to end in tears or is it going to end in cheers?
We can see what Maddox is trying to do. He's trying to force him into an error. He's showing the full face of the McLaren in the mirrors of Longley. Gets very, very close into Tramonto. So he's definitely getting closer. It's just whether he can actually pull something off here. And potentially in the 14, we've seen Longley go wide on a few occasions when he's been under pressure. Will this be another moment? And can Maddox find enough of a gap to be able to make it through? He does run a little bit wide, but manages to get to the apex first.
Yeah, and we're just seeing the back of that McLaren of Maddox just complain a little bit under acceleration onto the back straight. I found in my time in the McLaren, it's quite a hard exit to nail. The back end does sort of want to kick out. It loves to complain there, and so to be able to get that drive down the back straight against a big front engine like the Merc is it's a tall order, a very tall order.
Indeed, it is. Well, we'll keep an eye on what all these drivers are doing, but we're entering the closing stages of this race. 6 minutes and 48 seconds to go. Squires is under a bunch of pressure as we got nice side by side here. The blue flags have come into play, and it's Rashuti now having to go up the inside of Ellis to try and hold on to P2, and he does so. He managed to get late on the brakes enough to stay ahead, but yeah, I think the blue flags are going to start to play their part because they're encountering a bit of traffic now.
Well, and those two boys tucked up behind Breno Ellis were very, very tight there. So good to see that everyone was able to keep it clean and pointing in the right direction. But that was some hair-raising stuff there for a minute, Lexi.
Certainly. Well, that brings Ellis in a nice position to potentially dive it up the inside of Kara. Can he get enough of a run? No, a little bit too messy on the inside. He does try to move to the inside, scare Rashuti into an error, but Rashuti is none the wiser. He is happy to stick to his normal racing line as we see what happens ahead of Rashuti. Okay, so the drivers ahead are actually fighting for position going into Rio, and yeah, there's just no way through because the drivers ahead are fighting for position. So there's nothing that anyone can really do here, and that puts Ellis in a brilliant position to try and capitalize, but Rashuti was late enough on the brakes to be able to prevent disaster from striking.
Yeah, look, that was a bit of hair-raising driving from all four there. There was a bit of a clumsy battle going on between the BMW and the Porsche, and Breno and Stefano ran right up to the scene of the accident there, and almost had one of their own getting caught up in that. So glad to see that all four drivers, tyres are on the ground, cars are pointing the right direction, and that's game on.
Indeed it is. Look back to Johnson. He's just lost a little bit of touch with Squires on this occasion, but he's still right there with him, so that's going to continue on right to the end of this one. Same can sort of be said for Maddox on Longley, but it's always fluctuating. But here, come back to Breno Ellis. He's in a nice load of slipstream here. Is he going to go for the move? He's going to look to the inside. That would be very, very tight. Rashuti has to go very, very wide to try and prevent contact, and that opens the door. Ellis up the inside, and Rashuti, trying to react to it, goes deep, and Ellis has played that to perfection. He finally gets the move done on Rashuti in very clean style up to second.
That was classy driving from Breno there. Showed the nose here, forced Stefano wide, held him out on the outside, avoided contact there. Stefano's then gone hot under the brakes into that final chicane, and Breno has gone, thank you very much for P2, my friend. I will see you at the checkered flag.
Well, it might not be over yet, though. Rashidi is pushing, and it looks like he might have been close enough to go for a move into Rio, but yeah, this one's going to go right to the end of the race as well. But Ellis did look the faster of the two. It's just whether he can use that pace now to break away, because of course he had a reference in front of him before, so it's just whether he's able to maintain the speed that he had prior to making that move, or whether Rashidi can do it. Oh, that's close.
That was very close. Again, Stefano getting a bit hot under brakes, probably a little bit hot under the collar with how these last 3 or 4 laps have played out. And that one definitely could have ended in tears. But as we, I think after that mistake, we may now see that gap start to build a little. A bit of fresh air, sort of half a second between the two cars, and not long to go. So Stefano's going to be doing very well to be able to reel that one back in as we jump on board with the second of the 3 2x2 battles that we were following, with Maddox right behind Longley, and he's had a great run through there. Not quite enough to throw it up the inside, but has shown the nose. Longley taking that unconventional line through the final hairpin there, as we've seen all race, has allowed Rob Maddox to close right up. Is he going to be brave enough to throw it up the inside at turn 1 here, Lexi?
Do it.
The viewers have demanded. He's sort of moving to the inside. He's sort of indicating that he might be thinking about it as he moves back to the outside.
Just can't get the run out of these corners compared to the Merc. The Merc has solid drive onto the straights that McLaren just cannot match. But the run through some of these high-speed corners, that's where the McLaren really, really shines. Like, we saw how much time Maddox was able to find going through turn 12 and 13, and really 14 is probably going to be his best opportunity in the last 2 laps we'll have here, as we should see Shady Samuel's halfway through his what should be his second to last lap now.
I drove the McLaren for a solid 12 months as my main, and as much as I love that car, getting power down on exit is just such a challenge, and especially when you've got such a long and critical back straight like you do here at Misano. So frustrating. You'd be tucked right up behind some of the front engine cars through the Titan technical sections, where it's almost impossible to effect an overtake. And he is closer here. He needs to show the nose. He needs to spook Longley into a mistake, and Longley has nerves of steel, as he's shown us all race.
Yeah, on that occasion, Longley got a much better run, and that was able to nullify the advantage that McLaren has through those high-speed corners. And, well, it's going to come down to this last lap. We are onto the last lap of this hour-long race. We still have Longley ahead of Maddox and Squires ahead of Johnson. I think that battle between Squires and Johnson is just about done. It is nearly a second, so Squires should hold on for P6, but still all to play for the P4 in this race. Longley currently holds it. Maddox is trying to take it away, and Maddox looks like he has the overall speed, but just can't find it in the right spots in there. You can see exactly why that Mercedes just so clean through the exits of these corners.
He's obviously got his setup dialed in here, Longley. The traction that he's been able to generate on corner exit all night has just been fantastic. And how's the nerves on him, Lexi? He's had a car within sort of half a second to a second all race, and I don't think we've really seen Longley put a foot wrong. He's had a couple of little squibs and squabs here and there, but nothing to allow anyone to affect an overtake. As here we go again. Maddox is tucked in the slipstream and just can't quite get in touching distance of the big Merc in front of him, as Shady Samuel crosses the line to take the checkered flag. P1, 12 and a half seconds back to Breno Ellis and P2. As this is getting spicy between these guys. Got a couple of blue flags that are adding a bit of curry powder here for us. And coming into the final corner, looks like Longley is going to take it out over Rob Maddox. Great race from both of those guys there. Aiden Squires will be the next car in position across the line, with Johnson tucked right up behind. Both of those boys will be ruining their pit entries tonight. That hurt what could have been a fantastic result. We're at the Battle of the Porsches. Timmy Gobb, Pete Chalmers behind. coming through sector 3 and into the final corner there. That is for positions 10 and 11 there, with Johnny Hislop in the Nissan GTR. 2 seconds adrift of these boys for P12.
Then after that, we had Ben Curtis crossing the line to finish second in the Pro-Am class behind Chalmers, who we already said finished 11th overall. There'll be Rochford, Viney. We're on board here with Jensen, who thankfully I did not curse with my prediction at the start of the race, and he's driven very well to finish P16 ahead of Zavaka. Then it'll be Charitos, our AM class winner, and Cricky has had a clean race.
Hey, there you go. Well, there you go, Murray. The reverse commentator's curse has had an effect for Mike Crick tonight. He had a clean race. He's driven without incident, and had a great result. Hats off to Charitos there. Was in such a commanding position in Spa last week. Had that slide incident where he ran wide and let a few cards through. So congratulations on your first amateur class win, hopefully of many, to Charitos.
Indeed, as we'll go over some race results now, with Shady Samuel dominant today, 12.7 seconds clear of Ellis, Rashuti, Longley, and Maddox, your overall top 5. In the silver class, it was Maddox from Squires, Samuel, Gobb, and Hislop. Then in the prime class, it was Chalmers, Curtis, Rochford, Viney, and Zavaka, before we move into the AM class with Charitos, Miller, Gosling, an unluckier 5th, and Braid, your top 5 from each of the classes there.
Well, another fantastic race from Split Red is in the books, Lexi. That was brilliant. It was great to see the strategy play out over the 60 minutes. There was some ebbs and some flows. There was some tears and some cheers as Breno takes a celebratory donut there in the pit lane. Don't hit that pit wall, Breno. It doesn't work out well.
Yes, we've already seen that hitting the pit wall doesn't end up too well for a few of our drivers tonight, but good stuff from Split Red. It was a nice, clean affair, a lot cleaner than what we had at Spa, which was very good to see. And we saw some nice racing, even if it was few and far between with how tricky it was to make overtakes around here. But it was enticing all the same, and we hope you believe so as well. Thank you all for joining us for what has been a magnificent night of racing, of course, with the Le Mans Ultimate at Fuji Speedway and the Simrigs Sprint Series here at Misano for Split Red. We have enjoyed your company tonight, and we hope to see you all next week for more Sprint Series action. Until then, bye for now.